Chapter 2138. The Golden Lion King also frowned. It abruptly turned its head and stared at Lin Xian with a gaze as sharp as a knife. To be honest, he was extremely surprised, because he didn't expect that the young man behind him could be compared to him. What a joke! He couldn't accept it. Therefore, at the next moment, he coldly snorted. "Kid, you want to challenge me? You're overestimating yourself." Lin Xian also snorted. "My goal is to become a great emperor. Who do you think you are to be my opponent?" Hearing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Their scalps went numb as they couldn't believe it. What did he say? He actually dared to look down on the Golden Lion King? Heavens, isn't this kid too arrogant? That's the genius of the war race, the legendary race that was born for battle. That's right, this kid must be crazy. Even if he could resist 3 streaks of lightning, it didn't mean that he could resist the Golden Lion King. Perhaps the Golden Lion King didn't use his full strength earlier. Sounds of discussion could be heard. Everyone thought that Lin Xian had really gone mad. Too arrogant. The Golden Lion King's face also sank. A terrifying killing intent burst out from his eyes. "Kid, what did you say? Say it again?" His voice was cold. The aura on his body quickly condensed, and a golden phantom appeared on his body. "Humph, I'm not afraid of you." Lin Xian took a step forward. His body erupted with a cold, chaotic sword light. Sword chi surrounded him and tore the sky apart. Then, the sword chi spiraled and turned into a real dragon coiling above Lin Xian. Boom, boom, boom. The two of them faced each other. They both summoned huge phantoms and suppressed the surroundings. The surrounding aura also became more and more condensed. Just the aura emitted from them caused the surrounding space to collapse. At the back, the third prince Daoist Long and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. They knew that they couldn't wait any longer. They had to act quickly. Otherwise, if they were left behind, they wouldn't have the chance to obtain the peerless treasure. Therefore, they also displayed their powerful strength and began to enter the green path. Then, thunderous attacks appeared one after another. They resisted crazily. In front of them, Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King were facing each other. The aura on their bodies was becoming more and more condensed. The Golden Lion King coldly said, "Brat, you don't have the qualifications to obtain the treasures ahead. Those treasures belong to me. Whether or not I'm qualified, it's not up to you to decide." Treasures were innate, and only those with the ability could obtain them. Whoever was stronger would get the treasure. If you want to stop me, you'll have to be prepared to be killed. You want to kill me with just you alone? He really overestimated himself. After the Golden Lion King heard this, it sneered in disdain. "Is that so? It just so happens that I want to experience whether or not the war race is as powerful as the legends say." Lin Xian's eyes flashed with a sharp light. "Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." The Golden Lion King was finally enraged. It coldly snorted, and the golden aura on its body suddenly erupted. As if it was going to destroy the world, it illuminated the entire sky. Then he stretched out his palm. The giant golden palm crushed the void. It was incomparably terrifying, destroying everything in its path. Chop! Lin Xian swung the saber in his hand and slashed out a huge light blade. The terrifying light blade descended like a river of stars, boundless and boundless. In the next moment, the two collided and a huge explosion occurred. The aftermath of that energy directly tore apart all the lightning in the surroundings. This scene was like the end of the world, causing people to be shocked. The expressions of the third prince, Daoist Long, and the others also changed. They all retreated to avoid the aftermath. In the Grand Imperial Hall, the royal family elders cried out in alarm when they saw this scene, because the two peerless geniuses had finally fought. Boom, boom, boom. A huge explosion occurred in front of them, and the surrounding sea of lightning was instantly pierced through. That giant golden palm blocked the sharp sword light, and then the light dimmed. Crack. In the end, it was cut in half. However, that terrifying sword energy was also torn apart under the power of the giant golden palm. The two attacks dissipated in the sky at the same time, vanishing into thin air. When everything disappeared, the third prince, Daoist Long, and the other almighties behind were all shocked. They were evenly matched. These two were actually evenly matched. Their hearts turned cold. This was too terrifying. They could understand the Golden Lion King's strength because he was a legendary genius of the war race. Lin Xian was actually able to fight against such a legendary genius. It was simply too heaven-defying. On the other side, Lin Xian was also shocked. The other party was indeed a genius of the war race. He was indeed terrifying. The other party's palm was simply too sharp, carrying an incomparably terrifying force that made him extremely shocked. It was only because of his unparalleled combat strength that he was able to block it. If it was any other elite almighties, they would probably have been smashed into a bloody mist. He was actually able to block my attack. On the other side, the Golden Lion King was also extremely surprised. He frowned, and his face was incomparably gloomy, because he was a genius of the war race and was extremely powerful. That palm just now was something that even elite almighties couldn't block. Probably only peak almighties could block it. But now this young man in front of him actually blocked it and even shattered his attack. It was truly unexpected. But so what? Only death awaited those who dared to fight against him. Therefore, in the next moment, his expression was gloomy. He took a step forward, causing countless cracks to appear in the void. The surrounding sea of lightning was also mercilessly pierced through. Brat, you actually dare to fight against me. Today, I will let you know the power of the war race. The Golden Lion King's voice was ice cold. His golden hair fluttered in the wind. His gaze was like a sharp blade, cutting through the void. At this moment, he was like an ancient war god, causing others to tremble. Lin Xian coldly snorted. The war race was only SOSO. It was just that the legends said that they were too powerful. Today, I will shatter this legend. Lin Xian's body once again emitted an incomparably terrifying sword, aura. The sword, aura, spread out in all directions, causing the sky to change color. At this moment, Lin Xian was like a peerless sword god. His body emitted a sharp and terrifying sword intent. Subsequently, he grasped the supreme-grade saber in his hand, and a terrifying aura crazily surged out. The saber slashed down. Although it was a saber, Lin Xian used a sword technique. The biting cold sword light was like a rainbow, piercing through heaven and earth as it rapidly flew out. Your attacks have no effect on me at all. The Golden Lion King coldly snorted. This kind of attack can't hurt me at all. He clenched his fist and punched out with his golden fist. It pierced through all directions and directly blasted the sword, aura, away. This Golden Lion King's physique was so strong, it could actually fight against a supreme-grade, earth-grade artifact barehandedly. Those supreme experts and the royal family elders exclaimed in admiration. They were extremely envious. Even they didn't dare to fight against a supreme-grade, earth-grade artifact saber barehandedly. However, the Golden Lion King easily did it. It had to be said that it was really shocking. This also showed how terrifying the war race was. Lin Xian frowned. The great dragon sword soul within his body surged. Immediately, an even more terrifying sword, aura, surrounded his body, forming a terrifying sword light. It completely enveloped him. Chapter 2139. Boom. Lin Xian unleashed hundreds of sword chi in a row. His speed had reached the extreme at this moment, and it was almost completed in a blink of an eye. In the sky, the sword light that filled the sky swept in all directions before ruthlessly slashing down. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying sword wave easily cut open the void. Even Daoist Long and the other Almighty's expressions changed. One could imagine how terrifying this sword chi was. Facing thousands of sword chi, the Golden Lion King also frowned. A terrifying divine light burst out from its eyes. The golden light on its body became even more terrifying. It moved its fists and unleashed an incomparably ferocious fist technique. Terrifying light flickered. In the sky, countless golden fists surged and collided with the sword chi in the sky. A shocking battle erupted. Terrifying light shocked the surroundings. Some of the human-shaped lightning that had just formed in the surroundings were directly turned into ashes by the explosion of this energy. Damn it, where did that kid come from? He could actually withstand so many moves from the Golden Lion King? That's not right. This kid's aura hasn't weakened even until now. How rich is the spiritual energy in his body? Is he really just a 6-star king? Everyone was stunned. If Lin Xian was an elite almighty, it wouldn't be strange for him to have such combat strength. However, the other party was just a 6-star king. Even if a 6-star king could display the combat strength of an elite almighty, the amount of spiritual energy in his body couldn't be compared at all. The difference between an almighty and a 6-star king could be said to be heaven and earth. However, at this moment, Lin Xian seemed to have broken this rule. This shocked everyone. Not to mention Lin Xian, that Golden Lion King, was also the same. From the looks of it, he shouldn't be a true almighty. These two people were both 6-star kings, but they had such heaven-defying combat strength. It was really shocking. Just as everyone was exclaiming, the battle ahead became even more intense. Lin Xian's body was filled with sword chi. The dragon sword spirit domain appeared, and then sword light that filled the sky quickly surged out. A lion-like phantom appeared on the Golden Lion King's body. It was like a huge golden mountain. Yang Tian roared, letting out an incomparable roar. Instantly, the sword chi that filled the sky was shattered. Following the Golden Lion King's actions, that Huang Jun Xiongshi immediately raised one of its claws and slapped it towards Lin Xian. It blotted out the sky and covered the earth, annihilating the void. It was as if it was really an ancient ferocious beast, extremely terrifying. Humph! Lin Xian coldly snorted. How could he lose to a demonic beast phantom? He had just subdued the phantom of an immemorial demonic beast, and it was the perfect time to use it against the enemy. Therefore, in the next moment, blood-red sword patterns appeared under his feet and enveloped the surroundings. An overwhelming murderous aura instantly burst out. Boom, boom. A boundless smell of blood emerged, and there seemed to be a sea of blood surging around. The expressions of those powerful beings changed. Countless sword chi intertwined to form an incomparably terrifying primordial phantom. Roar, boom, boom. That primordial vanity beast covered the sky and covered the sun. As soon as it appeared, it moved its body, and everywhere it passed, the void shattered. Accompanying it was an extremely terrifying aura that caused the adults to feel a chill run down their spines. Damn it, what kind of aura is this? How could it be so terrifying? Why do I have a feeling that my heart is palpitating? Everyone swallowed their saliva and looked up at the black, primordial phantom, dumbstruck. That was the immemorial demonic crocodile. Damn it, wasn't that the crocodile? How did he have this primordial phantom? The third prince and the others were all stunned, and their scalps went numb. They had faced this kind of black crocodile before. It was extremely terrifying and could even kill elite mighty beings. Moreover, it was only a young crocodile. In the end, they found out that it was a peerless demonic beast that had been passed down since ancient times. Its strength was extremely terrifying, and they had to use extremely powerful methods to escape. But what was going on now? How could Lin Xian have such a primordial phantom? Wasn't that the power of the dark demonic crocodile's bloodline? How could it appear in his hands? Not to mention the third prince and the others. Even the royal elders in the grand imperial hall exclaimed in surprise. Damn it! How did this kid do it? Everyone was stunned. However, an elder exclaimed, Right, didn't a young primordial crocodile disappear earlier? Could it be that it was killed by this kid, and its demonic soul was extracted? When these words were said, the royal elders all sucked in a breath of cold air, because they realized that it was very likely to be the case. However, the other party was actually able to kill a dark demonic crocodile. Moreover, he had successfully refined the demonic soul, which really shocked them. At the same time, they were extremely envious. After all, this was an immemorial demonic soul, which was extremely terrifying. They wondered how the Golden Lion King would resist it. Everyone was looking forward to it, because they knew that the war race, as a race that had been passed down since ancient times, naturally had its own bloodline power. They might be able to use this battle to gain some insight. The Golden Lion King frowned when he saw the primordial phantom filling the sky. Then the corner of his mouth rose into a cold smile. I thought you had some methods to fight against me. I didn't expect that you only extracted the soul of an immemorial demonic soul. Do you think that you can fight against me like this? The Golden Lion King sneered in disdain. Isn't it just a dark demonic crocodile? I've just killed one. Do you think you can fight against me with just its demonic soul? You are overestimating yourself. What? The Golden Lion King also killed a dark demonic crocodile? Hearing this, everyone was dumbfounded. This was too heaven-defying. When did the Golden Lion King do it? They cried out in surprise. Since the Golden Lion King dared to come to the dark canyon alone, he might have encountered the dark demonic crocodile. However, the other party was actually able to successfully kill the dark demonic crocodile. This was enough to prove how powerful and terrifying his strength was. The Golden Lion King's words caused everyone to be shocked. Even Lin Xian frowned. He didn't expect the Golden Lion King to have killed the dark demonic crocodile. However, so what? The immemorial demonic soul had become incomparably powerful in his demon-slaying sword formation. It was definitely not something that could be imagined before. Kill. Therefore, in the next moment, he roared and controlled the immemorial demonic soul to attack. In the sky, the huge immemorial demonic soul emitted a terrifying fluctuation. Then its huge body descended rapidly like a mountain. On the other side, the Golden Lion King controlled the Golden Lion Phantom to fight against the immemorial demonic crocodile. The two demonic souls clashed in the sky. The terrifying energy fluctuations caused the space to be destroyed. Even if it was a powerful expert, his heart would tremble. These two immemorial demonic souls were too terrifying. It was as if they were real ancient demonic beasts. In an instant, the two clashed. They were evenly matched, and the galaxy was shattered. Buzz. However, at this moment, the Golden Lion King roared. A ray of light from outer space shot towards Lin Xian. Its golden fist was like an eternal light as it blasted over. Chapter 2140. Peng. Lin Xian was still fearless. He waved his long sword and unleashed a terrifying light. It turned into a long rainbow and slashed down. It was so powerful that even the void was trembling. The battle between the two completely drowned the front. Behind them, the third prince and the rest had a gloomy expression because their path was cut off. The two were fighting in front, and they couldn't get through. They could only wait here. Boom, boom, boom. However, at this moment, the light pillar in the distance changed again. An even more majestic aura burst forth, as if it would appear at any time. Seeing this scene, the Golden Lion King's eyes turned cold. He didn't want to fight anymore. He turned into a ray of light and flew forward. compared to fighting. Obtaining the rare treasure was more important. Humph! Lin Xian also snorted and used the demigods and semi-devils to chase after them. His speed was very fast. In an instant, he rushed forward. The entire sea of lightning was mercilessly pierced through. Seeing that Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King had finally left the powerful beings behind, heaved a sigh of relief. In the next moment, they didn't delay any longer and quickly moved forward. They finally came to the front. There was a valley there. It was surrounded by mountains on 3 sides, and there was only one entrance. The walls surrounding the mountain exuded an ancient aura, as if they had existed for thousands of years. Not only that, there were mysterious runes on them. They were very profound. It was impossible to understand. However, the aura they emitted was extremely shocking. The entire valley was almost covered by a huge light. It seemed that the rare treasure was in this valley. Was it here? When the third prince and the rest arrived, they were extremely surprised. They looked forward with fiery eyes. However, there were 2 figures in front of them, blocking their path. It was Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King. The 2 of them arrived earlier than them. However, the 2 of them had an incomparably solemn expression and didn't enter rashly. Boom, boom, boom. Not long after they arrived, the surroundings of the valley began to tremble rapidly. Then, the ground cracked open and fiery red stone pillars appeared. They were also connected to heaven and earth. There were ancient beasts carved on them. They were vivid and lifelike, as if they were real. It emitted an incomparably terrifying aura. 9 fiery red stone pillars joined together to form a terrifying array formation, blocking the path. Humph! Get out of my way! At this moment, an old man wielding a supreme-grade saber fiercely slashed forward. Suddenly, the long saber collided with the pillar that was as red as fire. The void trembled as the 9 fiery red pillars connected together, emitting incomparable energy. His appearance was incomparably mysterious. At this moment, the gigantic light pillar in the valley ahead suddenly trembled. A ray of light swept out in all directions like a wave. Not good. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked and wanted to dodge. However, the speed of the light was simply too fast. It enveloped them in an instant. In the next moment, these people were extremely shocked. They all put up a strong defense. But soon, they were stunned because the light didn't cause any harm to them. What's going on? Could it be that he wasn't injured? These people were puzzled. Ka, ka, ka. Cracking sounds could be heard as the old man's saber shattered into countless pieces, scattering all over the ground. No, damn it! How could this be? That elder cried out in alarm, feeling exceptionally angry. This was a supreme-grade earth-grade saber that he had obtained from the pavilion. The elder was overjoyed to obtain this saber. This was because this saber was not commonly seen in the outside world. A top-grade, supreme-grade saber could increase his strength by 1 or 2 times. It could be said that it was absolutely terrifying, but now it had shattered inexplicably. This was something that he could not accept at all. Ka, ka, ka. He was not the only one. The treasures in the hands of the other almighties had all shattered. Even the saber in Lin Xian's hand had broken into 2 halves. This scene made Lin Xian frown. What's going on? How could this be? Not to mention them. Everyone was stunned. The Golden Lion King's face was also gloomy because the treasures he had obtained from the pavilion had also shattered into pieces. His expression was incomparably cold. Inside the Grand Imperial Hall, the elders of the royal family began to discuss among themselves when they saw this scene. How could this be? A supreme-grade earth-grade saber could be said to be incomparably terrifying. If a peerless almighty couldn't shatter it, then even an invincible king couldn't shatter it, right? How could it shatter now? Could it be caused by the light pillar that reached the sky? Heavens! What kind of treasure was this to be able to produce such a terrifying energy? Could it be beyond the earth grade? Could it be a heaven grade treasure? Thinking of this, they exclaimed again and again. Lin Xian also thought of this possibility, so he looked forward with flickering eyes. At this moment, everyone raised their heads and looked forward. They knew that the treasure in front of them was definitely beyond their imagination. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Just as they were shocked, the 9 red pillars in front of them suddenly bloomed with light and then moved quickly. At the place where they were connected to the ground, countless runes spread out and quickly covered the entire ground. Countless runes flickered, and formations lit up one after another, trapping everyone. Damn it! The third prince and the others' faces changed, and they wanted to quickly dodge. However, not only did these mysterious runes spread to the ground, but they also spread to the void, forming a wall of light. It completely sealed the entire space around them. Therefore, in the next moment, they crashed into the wall of light, and a shocking light burst out. Countless runes flashed, but the wall of light did not shatter. A huge vibration force surged towards these powerhouses, and these powerhouses frantically counterattacked, neutralizing the energy. However, they were trapped. Not only these people, but at this moment, Daoist Long, Lin Xian, the Golden Lion King, and everyone else were completely trapped by the formation. They were sealed. Lin Xian, the Golden Lion King, and the others were completely sealed by the formation. In an instant, everyone's faces turned gloomy. Since they were sealed, then they had to break the formation. Everyone began to study the formation. However, there were 9 fiery red light pillars, and Lin Xian and the others happened to have 9 people, so everyone was separated. They could not join forces and could only study individually. In this way, the third prince's advantage of having more people was gone. The third prince's face was terrifyingly dark. He did not expect this to happen. Lin Xian's lips curled up because he was also a formation master. Therefore, he sat down cross-legged and began to break the formation. On the other side, the Golden Lion King was simpler and more violent because he did not study the formation at all. Instead, he used his incomparably powerful combat strength to fight against the runes that filled the sky. Boom, boom, boom. His golden fist punched forward without any regard for his life, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. Terrifying energy surged. Chapter 2141. But fortunately, everything was sealed by the array formation. Otherwise, this energy alone would be enough to flatten everything within a radius of 10,000 miles. On the other side, mysterious runes appeared on Lin Xian's fingers as he began to crack the array. Moreover, he wasn't cracking it himself. The Crimson Dragon was currently in the Black Earth, so he also let the Crimson Dragon participate in the cracking. The 2 of them, one in the light and one in the dark, quickly attacked. Although this array was incomparably mysterious and had been passed down from ancient times, under the full strength of Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, it was quickly resolved. In the end, a crack was torn open. That's great. Lin Xian was overjoyed and increased his speed. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were all extremely shocked. Heavens, it had only been a few hours, and that kid could already tear open a crack? Who exactly was he? Could it be that he was also an array grandmaster? Daoist Long and the Lord of the Underworld were stunned. On the other side, the third prince's face was gloomy. He was extremely mad. He stared fiercely at the light screen, but there was nothing he could do, because he didn't have the combat strength of the Golden Lion King. In the Grand Imperial Hall, the royal elders were also shocked when they saw this scene. This kid was too terrifying. He was definitely an array grandmaster. But how could he be? Which array grandmaster didn't become one after thousands of years of cultivation? The other party was a young kid in his 20s. Even if his talent was abnormal, it shouldn't be. Besides, were the other array grandmasters as strong as him? A person's energy was limited. How did he do it? These people almost bit off their tongues. However, something even more shocking happened, because at this moment, an earth-shattering sound came from the light screen again. The Golden Lion King's fist smashed into the array formation, creating a crack. This Golden Lion King was too frightening. This was using pure strength to resist the entire ancient array. How heaven-defying had this guy's strength reached? Could it be that he had already reached the level of a peerless almighty? Everyone was terrified. The Golden Lion King's performance was even more terrifying. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He didn't expect the other party's combat strength to be so strong. But so what? His opponent's consumption should be even faster. Moreover, if he summoned the great dragon sword soul, he would be able to break through the formation as well. Of course, he would not reveal his trump card. Therefore, he used the most primitive method to remove it. Finally, after another 2 hours, Lin Xian smiled. That was because the array in front of him had a 1-meter-long crack. Although the crack wasn't big, it was enough to let him out. In the next moment, his figure flickered, and he came out completely. What? He had really walked out. The faces of the third prince and his crew darkened upon seeing this, as their eyes were filled with despair. Could it be that he was going to let this kid snatch the heavenly treasure? Thinking of this, they desperately slapped the light screen in front of them. On the other side, the Golden Lion King also let out a furious roar. It punched out with both of its fists, which transformed into 2 lions and completely shattered the light screen in front of it. Then he strode out of the room. Brat, in front of me. You don't have any chance. The Golden Lion King's eyes flickered as it stared at Lin Xian. Lin Xian directly made his move. The 9-held demonic sword went up and slashed out. This sword was like a divine rainbow from the heavens. It was extremely terrifying. It didn't look like a sword light at all, but more like a dragon. It covered the entire sky and mercilessly descended. Boom! The Golden Lion King raised its fist and resisted. An earth-shattering collision sound rang out, and a terrifying light burst forth. The void fluctuated violently, and the surrounding space shattered in an instant. Luckily, the third prince and the others were all covered by the formation, blocking this terrifying energy. Otherwise, just the energy shockwaves alone would have seriously injured these people. The Golden Lion King punched down and blasted the sword chi away. At the same time, another golden figure condensed on its body. The surrounding space was completely illuminated. This time, not only was the space illuminated, but it also carried an extremely terrifying murderous aura. It penetrated through every inch of space and attacked Lin Xian. King's domain. This time, it was the Golden Lion King's domain. Even though the third prince and his crew were separated by the array, they still felt their hearts tremble. Lin Xian let out a low roar, and the ice goddess's illusion surged out from his body. The huge ice wings trembled, releasing the power of ice. The surrounding space quickly froze, and countless frost appeared. It was completely frozen. Even the golden light was frozen. It moved very slowly, as if it had entered a quagmire. Ka, ka, ka. Not only that, the terrifying aura of ice spread toward the Golden Lion King, wanting to freeze it as well. However, the Golden Lion King let out a cold snort, and its body emitted an extremely terrifying aura. It was like a golden sun, shining in all directions. Any ice and snow that came close to it would quickly melt. Brat, your little bit of ice power is useless against me. The Golden Lion King sneered, and a trace of disdain appeared in its eyes. Is that so? Lin Xian snorted, and his eyes flickered. The great dragon sword soul in his body surged, and countless amounts of ice power condensed on his demonic sword. The ice broke. With a swing of the sword, a huge amount of ice sword chi surged, and then an ice sword shadow pierced out. Between heaven and earth, a terrifying storm swept out, and the sword Qi crazily engulfed every inch of space. The sharp sword Qi contained in it was extremely terrifying, and even the faces of the powerful experts changed. Boom. This sword was extremely terrifying, and it arrived in front of the Golden Lion King in an instant. Even the Golden Lion King was frowning, because this sword was enough to threaten it. Therefore, it let out a cold snort, and its body swayed, quickly dodging. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian laughed. "Why, didn't you say that my ice power is useless against you? Then why are you still dodging? You're just SOL, brat. You're courting death." Hearing this, the Golden Lion King was enraged. In the next moment, light bloomed in its eyes. The Golden Lion King went crazy with anger. No one had ever dared to treat it like this. It let out a roar, and a layer of golden light appeared on its body, as if a peerless beast was awakening. Then it threw a punch forward. The golden fist was like the sun, emitting thousands of rays of light. Lin Xian also let out a long roar, and the demonic sword in his hand emitted a cold light, as if it had crossed over from the demonic realm. The terrifying sword Qi directly slashed down. Boom. The two met, and then collided. It was as if the sky had collapsed, and a terrifying aura burned in all directions. So powerful. These two people were too terrifying. In the surroundings, the third prince, Dao Long, and the others exclaimed, and their mouths were wide open. Each of them looked forward with a serious expression. Buzz. Lin Xian's sword slashed down, as if it had pierced through the 9 heavens, and all kinds of terrifying sword light appeared. On the sword, a dragon-like roar sounded. Chapter 2142. Buzz. Lin Xian's sword slashed over. It was as if it had pierced through the 9 heavens. All sorts of terrifying sword light appeared. The sword let out a dragon-like roar. The Golden Lion King was equally terrifying. It was as if an ancient lion had awakened. Its golden fist destroyed a large area of space. Boom, boom. Both of them were peerless geniuses. When they attacked with all their might, it was earth-shattering. After the attack, both of them quickly retreated. Their blood was boiling, and their faces were pale. However, their eyes were even more piercingly cold. Seal of the tailless lion. Just at this moment, the Golden Lion King coldly shouted. A sharp light burst out from its eyes. Its palms formed a seal, and golden light shone in all directions. A lion phantom appeared and circled in the Golden Lion King's hand. The lion's shadow was extremely terrifying. As soon as it appeared, the sky in all directions collapsed, and terrifying thunder rumbled. The Golden Lion King held the seal of the fearless lion and quickly charged over. Boom, boom, boom. Countless black flames surged out from Lin Xian's body. They burned fiercely like the flames of hell. Soon after, he turned into a huge flaming giant. It was 10,000 feet tall and looked down on the world. The flaming giant clenched its fists. A huge flaming divine sword appeared in its hand and slashed downwards. Boom, boom, boom. Hundreds of thousands of divine swords trembled. The terrifying sword light was hundreds of feet long, and it ruthlessly shattered the void. Kill. The Golden Lion King roared and activated the seal of the fearless lion to contend against it. Intense collisions constantly sounded. Every time, the void was shattered. However, Lin Xian's sword Qi was too strong. It caused the seal of the fearless lion to dim and even crack. Seeing this scene, everyone exclaimed, could it be that this Lin Xian is even stronger than the Golden Lion King? They didn't dare to imagine. In the next moment, the seal of the fearless lion in the Golden Lion King's hand shattered. Seeing that the huge flaming sword was about to fall, the Golden Lion King roared. burning sun fist. At this critical moment, he once again unleashed a peerless fist technique. His fist transformed into a golden sun. It was incomparable and shone in all directions. Boom. He punched out, hitting the flaming sword chi, causing cracks to appear on the flaming sword chi. In an instant, the Golden Lion King unleashed over 100 punches. That huge flaming divine sword was broken into two halves. Lin Xian was also affected and retreated. The Golden Lion King was so powerful. He actually possessed such a terrifying fist technique. That's right. From the looks of it, the Golden Lion King was still stronger. Everyone exclaimed in surprise. Even the elders of the imperial family cried out in surprise. Lin Xian was sent flying by the shockwave and came to a stop. His face was a little pale, but his eyes were even colder. In the next moment, he was about to unleash an even more powerful ultimate move. However, at this moment, countless runes appeared around him, forming another array. It enveloped him. On the other side, the Golden Lion King was also besieged again. Damn it, it's this formation again. Lin Xian frowned. He didn't expect the array to be able to repair itself. It was beyond his expectations. On the other side, the Golden Lion King was also enraged. It frantically attacked the surrounding runes again. Lin Xian sat down cross-legged. He didn't make a move immediately. Instead, his eyes flickered, because from the previous exchange, the Golden Lion King was very strong. It was not weaker than him. In fact, it was even stronger than him. Therefore, if he rashly opened the seal and went out to fight, he might not be able to win. Therefore, he had to think of another way. In the next moment, Lin Xian asked via voice transmission, "Ruzalong, is the Heart of Darkness done?" "One is done. I'll give it to you first." The Crimson Dragon replied via voice transmission. He opened his mouth and spat out a heart of darkness. Lin Xian raised his hand and formed an array. It formed a light that covered his body. He didn't want others to pry into his secret. Therefore, a few more arrays appeared in the ancient array and covered Lin Xian's figure. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were all very surprised. They couldn't understand what Lin Xian was trying to do. Lin Xian took out the Heart of Darkness from the black earth and quickly swallowed it. Boom, boom, boom. The Heart of Darkness no longer had the aura of death. Therefore, after being swallowed by Lin Xian, it directly turned into the purest energy. Lin Xian crazily circulated the longevity incantation to digest and absorb this energy. At this moment, he circulated the longevity incantation to the extreme. The longevity incantation was indeed terrifying. It displayed an extremely powerful conversion ability. It allowed Lin Xian to quickly absorb this energy. Lin Xian's cultivation strength was also rapidly increasing. However, the people outside were somewhat puzzled, because at this moment they couldn't see clearly what Lin Xian was doing. However, no one was in the mood to care. The most important thing now was to break the array. However, this array wasn't that easy to break, except for Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King, who broke it once. The third prince and the others didn't manage to break it. However, no one gave up. The Golden Lion King also fell into the array again. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, a day had passed. At this moment, an extremely terrifying fluctuation was emitted from Lin Xian's side. Then, all the light on Lin Xian's body disappeared, and his figure appeared again. Seeing this scene, everyone was somewhat surprised. But more than that, they were puzzled. What was this guy doing? However, at this moment, their gazes were attracted by the third prince, because the third prince relied on the secret technique of the royal family to break the array. He tore a crack and quickly came out. After coming out, the third prince revealed a proud smile. He strode forward, wanting to enter the valley. The third prince succeeded. In the Grand Imperial Hall, the royal family elders exclaimed when they saw this scene. Sure enough, the third prince was indeed powerful. Although he didn't usually fight, as one of the top princes, his strength was definitely not weak. For a moment, everyone's gaze was on the third prince. Lin Xian looked at the scene outside, and the corner of his mouth raised into a cold smile. He asked in a deep voice, "Rosalong, is it done?" "Don't worry, Ben Huang will definitely do it." In the next moment, another crack was torn in the array in front of Lin Xian. Then Lin Xian stepped out and walked out. What? This kid broke it again. Seeing the scene, everyone was stunned. The elders of the imperial family also cried out in alarm. They didn't expect Lin Xian to be so terrifying. He actually broke the array for the second time. Even the Golden Lion King let out a furious roar, its eyes cold, because until now it hadn't broken the array for the second time, and the other party actually broke it for the second time. It was really shocking. In fact, it wasn't Lin Xian who broke it. Lin Xian had been in the array for a day and night, absorbing the energy of the heart of darkness. The one who broke the array was someone else. Chapter 2143. In fact, the array was not broken by Lin Xian. Lin Xian had been in the array for an entire day and night, absorbing the energy of the heart of darkness. Someone else was the one who had broken the formation. It was the Crimson Dragon. However, no one knew who it was, but that did not stop them from exclaiming in surprise. The third prince looked at the figure behind him, and his face became extremely ugly. He did not expect Lin Xian to come out as well. This wasn't good news for him. However, he snorted coldly. "Kid, I didn't expect you to be so lucky to break the array so quickly. However, I'll show you my strength." "Your strength? What strength do you have?" Lin Xian sneered. To be honest, he had never seen the third prince fight before. The third prince was trembling with anger. "Don't be too arrogant. My strength is definitely beyond your imagination. You'll feel it soon." At the sight of this, all of the Almighties took in a deep breath. The eyes of the royal elders flickered because they knew that the third prince was definitely powerful. Among the princes of the Tai dynasty, he was definitely ranked in the top 3. Humph, that kid is dead meat. Does he really think that I'm weak like the princes of the royal family? He'll regret it soon. Of course, the princes of the royal family are all peerless geniuses. With the supreme resources of the royal family, how can they be weak? It's just that these princes are of noble status and don't easily make a move. Once they make a move, they will definitely shock the world, especially a top prince like the third prince. His combat strength is definitely terrifying. I'm guessing that he's not weaker than the Golden Lion King. The elders also nodded. They knew the strength of these princes. They were definitely incomparably powerful. Sure enough, the third prince's aura changed. Previously, he was unwilling to make a move, but that did not mean that he was not strong. At that moment, his body was emitting a terrifying aura. Countless rays of light surged out of his body, forming a divine rainbow that quickly enveloped his entire body. The aura of a true dragon appeared and turned into a true dragon that circled around the third prince. With the addition of the aura of the true dragon, the third prince's aura became even more terrifying. At that moment, the third prince looked like a natural god of war. "Kill!" The third prince let out a furious roar and charged forward like a violent dragon. "Humph!" Lin Xian snorted coldly as well. Using the demigods and semi-devils, he charged forward like a bolt of lightning. Boom! In the next moment, the two of them collided in the air like two huge meteors colliding. A terrifying sound rang out as resplendent light scattered in all directions. Then the two of them retreated. The third prince's expression was grave. Lin Xian also frowned. That was because he realized that the third prince was really strong. He definitely surpassed the average genius. It seemed that these princes of the royal family were indeed peerless geniuses. Although they usually did not fight, their strength was definitely not weak. This third prince was definitely not weaker than the first blade. He might even be stronger than a top genius like Bai Zijing. At this moment, Lin Xian's expression was incomparably grave. The third prince was also shocked. His strength was indeed terrifying, even surpassing a peak genius like the first blade. He even believed that he could contend against the Golden Lion King. It was just that he wasn't willing to take the risk. But now the other party was actually able to fight to a draw with him, which really surprised him. Thinking of this, a murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Then he charged over again. The two of them erupted into a shocking battle, and terrifying sound waves swept out in all directions. After exchanging dozens of blows, the third prince suddenly struck out with his palm. Suddenly, the shadow of a true dragon quickly appeared, turning into a fierce killing move. This palm was extremely terrifying. It contained a supreme power, like a true dragon. Boom! Lin Xian raised his hand and slashed out. A terrifying sword chi cut through the void and slashed on the giant dragon's palm. The two of them exchanged dozens of blows again, and then they each retreated. What peerless genius! You're nothing in front of me, the third prince sneered. That was because he realized that the other party could only fight to a draw with him, which made him very confident. That was because he still had a trump card in his hand that he had not used yet. You're very confident, but now it's all over. Lin Xian's body once again surged with a terrifying aura. Feeling this aura, everyone's expression changed, especially the third prince, whose eyes were filled with fear. Damn it, you're still hiding your strength. You've hidden so much. He was too shocked because he realized that the other party's aura had become stronger than before. Indeed, Lin Xian had become stronger. That was because he had absorbed the energy of the heart of darkness. That made his strength even more terrifying than before. Wild, thunder heavenly eagle. In the next moment, Lin Xian decisively attacked. An extremely violent aura surged out of his body, turning into a sharp bolt of lightning that flashed through. Then the third prince was sent flying. Bang! The third prince was sent flying and smashed through the void. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Ah! The third prince roared at the sky, and the anger of the heavens appeared in his voice. His opponent dared to injure him, which was unforgivable. Therefore, he decided to use his trump card to kill his opponent. However, at that moment, countless runes lit up around him again, and a formation enveloped him again. Ah, damn it! The third prince was furious. He did not expect to be trapped by the formation again before he could make a move. On the other side, Lin Xian turned his head and no longer looked at the other party. However, the surrounding people were silent, especially the royal elders in the Grand Imperial Hall. They were extremely shocked. They knew the third prince's strength. He was definitely powerful and could fight against the Golden Lion King. Even so, he was still injured. Damn it! That kid's strength has become stronger again. How is this possible? Could it be that he was still hiding his strength? They did not dare to believe it. The Golden Lion King also frowned. In the next moment, he roared, and with a domineering aura and boundless killing intent, he quickly smashed the light screen in front of him. Then he walked out again. Seeing the Golden Lion King walk out again, Lin Xian also turned his head and looked over. Dense killing intent appeared in his eyes. The Golden Lion King sneered in disdain. Kid, you're not my opponent. Boom. Lin Xian did not say anything and directly attacked. He took a step forward, and his body emitted a monstrous aura. The sword aura that filled the sky swept out, shocking everyone. It directly shattered the 9 heavens. Feeling the change in the aura, the Golden Lion King frowned. His eyes flickered, as he stared at Lin Xian. "Your aura is stronger than before. No wonder you dared to attack me again." However, it was still useless. After saying that, his figure flashed and instantly appeared beside Lin Xian. His right hand swept out. A huge palm grabbed at Lin Xian. Lin Xian used the demigods and semidevils and dodged the palm. At the same time, the long sword in his hand turned into a sharp lightning and mercilessly pierced out. Chapter 2144. Clang! The two of them clashed and pulled apart the distance between them. The Golden Lion King frowned slightly, and a look of disbelief appeared on his face. Because in the previous exchange, his entire right arm was filled with frost aura, and his meridians were all sealed. There was even a sharp sword aura that made his entire arm feel numb. This was too unbelievable. How did his opponent's strength become so strong? The surrounding powerhouses and the royal elders all sucked in a breath of cold air. That was because they discovered that the Golden Lion King had actually suffered a loss in the battle just now. This was too inconceivable. One must know that Lin Xian was sent flying by the Golden Lion King with a single palm. After a day, Lin Xian was able to make the Golden Lion King suffer a loss. How did he do it? However, they were still extremely shocked, because these two people were definitely peerless geniuses with endless means. Any one of them would be able to suppress these powerhouses. After succeeding in one move, Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He had consumed the Heart of Darkness and increased his strength by a lot. Moreover, in the previous exchange, he did not use his full strength. That was why everyone thought that he was sent flying. However, this time, he did not plan to hold back. Gaining the upper hand was just the beginning. With his current strength and the great dragon sword soul, he could definitely contend against the Golden Lion King. Therefore, in the next instant, Lin Xian made his move again. He stepped on the demigods and semidevils and appeared in front of the Golden Lion King in an instant. The 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand emitted a terrifying aura and then mercilessly slashed down. Boom! The Golden Lion King's expression was solemn. He threw out a punch and hit the 9 underworld demonic sword. In an instant, the two of them trembled. Then, the two of them kept retreating. The Golden Lion King stopped his body, and his expression was solemn, because Lin Xian's sword technique was much more terrifying than before. This shocked him, and he had to be careful. It seemed that his opponent's strength had indeed increased. However, he did not know if it was because he held back yesterday, or because he became stronger after a day and a night. But no matter what, it was a big problem for him. "Brat, your swordsmanship is not bad. You can indeed contend against me," the Golden Lion King said in a deep voice. "However, I am merely resisting. I haven't even used my full strength yet. I still have countless trump cards that I haven't used yet. As a genius of the war race, you simply can't imagine what level my strength has reached. Moreover, the war clan is not something you can provoke, so I'll give you a piece of advice: quickly leave, because you don't have the right to compete with me. But don't worry, after I obtain the peerless treasure, if I'm in a good mood, I can reward you with 1 or 2 cultivation techniques that will benefit you for the rest of your life." What? Hearing this, everyone was shocked. They didn't expect the Golden Lion King to say such words. Lin Xian, on the other hand, frowned. "You're too confident. Do you think you're the only one who hasn't used your full strength? I didn't use my full strength either." Lin Xian's voice was resounding. "However, as for the Battle Clan's cultivation method, you can keep it for yourself. I don't need it. What I need is the rare treasure in front of me. Brat, it seems like you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit." Hearing Lin Xian's words, the Golden Lion King's lips curled up into a cold smile. "My war race was born for battle. How can you contend against me? There's no point in talking anymore. Let's fight. Lin Xian coldly snorted, his gaze focused once again. He had already used many trump cards, but he could only fight to a draw with the Golden Lion King. It seemed like if he wanted to win, he would need to use some special methods. Buzz. The demon-slaying sword array appeared beneath his feet. Soon after, it condensed into the immemorial phantom. At the same time, the dragon sword domain appeared and covered the sky above. This way, the entire sky and earth were her domain. As for Lin Xian, he stood in the air. His body emitted a terrifying primal chaos sword chi. Boom! The immemorial phantom took the initiative to attack. The Golden Lion King struck out with the seal of the fearless lion to contend against it. At the same time, golden flames burned on the Golden Lion King's hands. It was as if two golden suns were revolving once again. Burning Sun Fist. Last time, it was this fist that sent Lin Xian flying. However, this time, Lin Xian coldly snorted. Countless primal chaos sword chi gushed out from his body and slashed forward. Boom, boom, boom. What? It was blocked. Seeing that Lin Xian's sword chi was actually able to contend against that golden sun-like fist, everyone exclaimed in shock. Those royal elders were also shocked. They realized that Lin Xian's strength had indeed become stronger. Not only that, what shocked them even more was what happened next, because Lin Xian let out a long roar. Instantly, the dragon sword domain above his head emitted countless rays of sword chi. Then, it merged with him. The terrifying sword chi that filled the sky became even more biting cold. It shook the Golden Lion King's arm to the point of numbness. Crack! A crack appeared on the Golden Lion King's fist. Then, blood flowed out. Damn it! How could this be? The Golden Lion King furrowed its brows as a trace of anger appeared in its eyes. Injured. He was actually injured. As for the surrounding people, they were all stunned. Heavens, the Golden Lion King was injured. How could this be? Previously, the Golden Lion King had received a peak-grade Earth rank artifact with his bare hands. Even then, he was not injured at all. One could imagine how strong the Golden Lion King's physique was. But now, under Lin Xian's sword chi, he was actually injured. There was even blood flying out. Could it be that Lin Xian's sword chi had surpassed a peak-grade artifact? Thinking of this, they swallowed their saliva. In the blink of an eye, the sword wounds on the Golden Lion King's arm increased. Although they were not deep wounds, it was enough to cause blood to flow and dye the void red. Brat, you have really angered me. The Golden Lion King's voice was ice cold. A terrifying killing intent spread out in all directions. The void behind him exploded, turning into a huge void. As for the Golden Lion King's body, it was constantly tumbling and turning into flames, burning fiercely. Brat, go to hell. 9 heavens golden flame, art. The Golden Lion King roared. Then, the golden flames on his body suddenly erupted, engulfing the 9 heavens. The entire space was completely covered by the golden waves. Lin Xian waved his hand. The dragon sword domain above his head quickly covered him. Then, he released countless sword chi. It blocked the golden flames that filled the sky. Boom! The battle broke out again. The two strength was constantly clashing. They were like 2 huge mountains, constantly colliding. The golden flames surged. The sword chi filled the sky. Everywhere it passed, the void would shatter. Nothing could withstand it. Luckily, the third prince and the others were enveloped by the array. Otherwise, they would have been hit by the terrifying energy. Buzz. In this sky filled with energy, the surrounding people could not see clearly. They could only rely on their souls to capture the trajectory. However, at this moment, a sword cry rang out. Then, everyone felt their souls tremble. Chapter 20. 145. How terrifying! What was that? All the experts present exclaimed. Although they were separated by a formation, they still felt a sense of fear. It was as if that sword light could destroy their souls. What was that? Could it be that this brat still had a terrifying treasure sword in his hand? Everyone was terrified. The Golden Lion King also furrowed his brows because he also felt a biting cold aura that made his entire body shiver. Buzz. In the next moment, he waved his hand, and a golden spear was formed from the endless sea of flames. He held it in his hand. With a thrust of the spear, heaven and earth were shattered. However, that chilling aura didn't disappear. It seemed to be getting heavier. No one knew that, at this moment, a dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared in front of Lin Xian. Then it was held by Lin Xian and slashed out. Boom! The sky changed color, and the surrounding space shattered. This sword chi shattered the void and directly slashed toward the Golden Lion King. In an instant, a large area of the sea of flames was extinguished. It was as if cold water was poured over it, and it quickly disappeared. The Golden Lion King's figure appeared in front of everyone when they saw a sharp sword light slashing toward them. Everyone was shocked. The elders of the royal family also exclaimed. The Golden Lion King's pupils constricted. He roared, "Get lost!" In the next moment, he waved the spear in his hand and turned it into a golden lion charging over. Boom! A collision shook the sky. That lion pounced on the sword light and kept biting. However, this time, it was useless. This was the power of the great dragon sword soul. It was incomparably terrifying. In an instant, it slashed the lion into two. What? It was destroyed. How could this be? The Golden Lion King was stunned. However, in an instant, that sword light arrived in front of him. Damn it! Block it for me! This sword light was too fast. It was so fast that the Golden Lion King found it hard to believe. Therefore, he could only raise the golden spear in his hand to block. Crack! However, in the next moment, the golden spear broke and turned into countless flames, scattering in all directions. As for the Golden Lion King, he was sent flying by this sword. The golden flames on his body were split apart, revealing a golden armor. That said, the golden armor was unable to withstand the golden light. A crack appeared on it. The Golden Lion King was sent flying as it spat out large mouthfuls of blood, dyeing its body red. What? The Golden Lion King was sent flying. Furthermore, he was injured. Everyone was going crazy. Even the royal family elder couldn't believe it. Even the Empress cried out in alarm. Her face was filled with shock. The Golden Lion King was invited by her. He was a genius of the war race and was unrivaled. It could be said that he was a genius born for battle. But now, she was actually sent flying by someone. She simply couldn't believe it. Beside her, His Majesty's eyes were like rainbows as he stared fixedly at the screen. At this moment, everyone was stunned. Boom, boom. The Golden Lion King was sent flying for several thousand miles. Along the way, it destroyed countless mountains, palaces, and pavilions. Dust and smoke filled the air as golden flames burned. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He turned into a stream of light and flew forward. He didn't know what kind of damage the sword would cause to the Golden Lion King, but he couldn't stay here any longer, because it wouldn't be long before the formation enveloped him once more. Therefore, he had to leave quickly. At the next moment, he waved his hand. The dragon sword domain flew over and merged with him. Finally, it turned into an azure dragon. With a swing of its tail, it tore through the void and flew toward the valley ahead. Boom, boom. At this moment, Lin Xian was truly powerful to the extreme. Therefore, there was nothing that could stop him. Did he disappear? Did that brat enter the valley? Damn it, I can't see clearly. In the Grand Imperial Hall, the royal family elders were roaring furiously because the screen in front of them no longer showed Lin Xian's figure. They couldn't do anything about it. They could only see the scene around the third prince. However, the third prince was currently trapped in the seal. They couldn't come out for a while. Therefore, they couldn't see into the valley at all. They could only be anxious. Even His Majesty's face was slightly gloomy. However, he couldn't do anything about it. Damn it, did that brat enter? Could it be that the heavenly treasure was obtained by that brat? Outside, the third prince and the surrounding almighties were all screaming madly. They also wanted to chase after him. However, they couldn't even break through the light screen in front of them. Lin Xian continued forward, tearing through countless rays of light. Finally, he arrived at the valley. His figure swayed and landed. The dragon sword domain revolved around him, supporting a space. It protected his safety. It couldn't be helped. The aura in the valley was too cold. When the rays of light hit the dragon sword domain, they produced a shocking collision sound. Fortunately, the dragon sword domain was evolved from the great dragon sword soul. Therefore, it was extremely sturdy. Otherwise, if it was an elite expert's domain, it would probably be penetrated in an instant. How terrifying. Damn it, what exactly is that? Lin Xian's expression was serious. He realized that the light pillar in front of him was even more terrifying than he had imagined. Previously, when he was outside the valley, he didn't feel it. However, now that he was inside the valley, every aura made his heart tremble. In the next moment, he used the heavenly secret god eyes. The golden light was like a sharp sword that pierced through the void. Through the countless rays of light, Lin Xian saw the scene inside clearly. Soon he was stunned. A hint of passion appeared in his eyes, and his body became excited, because in front of him was an ancient sword that was inserted into the soil. That ancient sword was very simple and unadorned. It was obvious that it was an ancient item. That terrifying pillar of light was emitted by this ancient sword. A peerless treasure sword. This was definitely a peerless treasure sword. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. As a swordsman, he could naturally feel the aura emitted by the long sword in front of him. It was much more terrifying than the 9 Hell Demon sword in his hand. In fact, it had completely surpassed those top-grade treasured sabers that he had obtained before. One had to know that those sabers were all top-grade Earth-rank treasures. However, in front of this ancient sword, they were nothing at all. The difference between the two was like the sun and the moon and a firefly. One could imagine how terrifying the grade of the ancient sword in front of him was. Could it be that it was a heaven-ranked treasure that surpassed an earth-ranked treasure? Thinking of this, Lin Xian was shocked and sucked in a breath of cold air. If this was true, then he would definitely be rich. A heaven-ranked treasure was the same as a heaven-ranked cultivation technique. They were extremely special, and each of them was a priceless treasure. Lin Xian had already tasted the power of a heaven-rank cultivation technique. He had practiced the first few moves of the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword, and its power had far surpassed all earth-rank martial arts, and the heaven-rank treasure in front of him automatically emitted light that could penetrate an elite almighty. One could imagine how terrifying it was. If he could obtain it and use it with the great dragon sword soul, then his combat strength would reach an incomparably heaven-defying realm. However, there was a problem now. How was he going to obtain this heaven-ranked treasure sword? Chapter 2146. Just by standing there and feeling the surrounding light, it was already very difficult to resist. If he continued forward, the resistance would be even greater. And the truth was indeed so. Lin Xian had just taken a few steps when he felt the sword qi in front of him. It was like a wild beast crazily pouncing on him. He had no choice but to stop. In the next moment, Lin Xian stopped. His eyes flickered, as he thought of a countermeasure. And just as Lin Xian was thinking of how to obtain the heaven-ranked treasure sword, a long roar came from outside. Then, a golden light tore through the sky. The Golden Lion King quickly charged over. His hair was disheveled, and golden light engulfed his body. He was like an angry demon king, with killing intent surging all over his body. Angry, he was really too angry, because no one had ever been able to injure him, and he was actually injured by a king younger than him. This was intolerable. The sword wound on his body was healed by a secret technique, but the anger in the Golden Lion King's heart could not be quelled. Especially when he knew that Lin Xian had already entered the valley ahead, he roared even more furiously. He waved his hands and tore through the void, flying forward quickly. The Golden Lion King also entered. Seeing this scene, the powerhouses around the third prince exclaimed. The imperial family elder also cried out in surprise. His face was full of envy, but there was nothing he could do. He could only watch helplessly. However, they were very puzzled. Did Lin Xian obtain the treasure? And could the Golden Lion King reverse the situation? Who would obtain the heavenly treasure in the end? They did not know, but they were very anxious. At this moment, a red-clothed powerhouse at the side said, "Third Prince, don't hesitate. Quickly use your trump card. Otherwise, we won't have any chance." That's right, Third Prince. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You must not miss it. The surrounding powerhouses all advised. The third prince's face was gloomy, as if he was thinking. In the end, he gritted his teeth and decided to use his trump card. It was not that he did not have any trump cards, but he was prepared to use them to deal with the first prince, because the first prince was the greatest threat to his position as the crown prince. If he used them rashly, it would be difficult to deal with the first prince in the future. But now, he could not care so much. Judging from the light in front of him and the image of heaven and earth, this was definitely a rare treasure. If he could obtain it, he might be able to defeat the first prince. Thinking of this, his expression turned serious as he took out a weapon from his storage ring. It was something similar to a pair of scissors. However, it was not an ordinary pair of scissors. Instead, it was a terrifying treasure formed by two flood dragons coiling around each other. Flood dragon scissors. A top-grade Earth Step artifact. Boom, boom. In the next moment, the third prince activated his Tao of Dragon Aura and infused it into the scissors in his hand. Immediately, the Jiao dragon scissors trembled as if it had come alive. As for the two flood dragons, they were spiraling around each other and letting out deafening roars. Boom, boom. Then he violently slammed into the light screen in front of him. Then the light screen shattered, and the third prince was freed. However, he didn't stop. Instead, he quickly helped the surrounding powerful beings out of their predicament. After the Almighties broke free, they poured their spiritual energy into the Jiao dragon scissors. Instantly, the scissors grew bigger. They were thousands of feet long, as if two real flood dragons had come back to life. They roared at the sky, waved their claws, and tore their mouths apart. In an instant, all the Almighties on the third prince's side were rescued. The Jiao dragon scissors were the third prince's treasure. It seemed that the third prince was really going to use his trump card. When the royal elders saw this scene, they began to discuss among themselves. The eyes of the royal elders who supported the third prince flickered. It seemed that the third prince was really going to get serious. If that was the case, the third prince might have a chance. The third prince was not weak. He was definitely a top genius. Moreover, the Jiao Dragon Scissors was definitely not the only trump card he had. If he used all of them, coupled with the help of the surrounding Almighties, perhaps even the Golden Lion King would not be able to fight against him. These people discussed animatedly. As for the third prince, he led for Almighties and quickly charged over. Boom. In the valley, Lin Xian was thinking about how to get the Heaven Ancient Sword in front of him. At this moment, an angry roar came from behind, accompanied by an extremely terrifying energy. In the next moment, he frowned and turned around. Then he saw a golden figure charging over. However, the moment that figure entered the valley, he was stunned and slowed down. Obviously, that was the Golden Lion King. Moreover, he felt the impact of the terrifying sword qi in the valley. As expected, after entering the valley, the Golden Lion King's expression became incomparably serious. In the end, he had no choice but to create an illusory lion to cover his body. Only then could he ensure his safety. What was this place? What was in front of him? The Golden Lion King's expression was grave, and his eyes flickered. He did not expect that the aura in the valley would be so terrifying. Even if he was a genius of the war tribe, he still had to be careful. Soon he looked around and saw Lin Xian's figure. His face immediately turned gloomy. However, he did not make a move. Instead, he snorted coldly because the aura was so terrifying, it was very disadvantageous for him to make a move. Moreover, the most important reason for coming to this valley was to get the treasures inside. He decided to wait until he got the treasures before killing Lin Xian to avenge the hatred in his heart. In the next moment, the Golden Lion King took a step forward, wanting to walk forward. However, the more he walked, the more frightened he became. In the end, the illusory golden lion on his body was pierced through by the terrifying sword qi. He had no choice but to stop. Moreover, he had to create a golden domain to cover himself. Next, the Golden Lion King also encountered trouble. Moreover, he was also thinking about how to walk forward and get the treasures. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian sneered. It seemed that the Golden Lion King also could not get close. However, at this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air came from behind again. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian raised his eyebrows and turned around. Someone else came in? Who could it be? The third prince? However, he soon discovered that it was indeed the third prince. Not only the third prince, but there were also 4 elite powerhouses beside the third prince. Their faces were gloomy as they flew over with all their strength. It was really them. Lin Xian was shocked. He did not expect the third prince to have escaped. Moreover, all the powerhouses beside him had escaped. As expected of a prince of the imperial family, the third prince indeed had a trump card in his hand. When Lin Xian saw the 2 huge flood dragons surrounding the third prince, he narrowed his eyes. The aura that the other party was emitting was definitely a treasure. Moreover, it was a top-grade treasure. It seemed that he had underestimated the third prince. Chapter 2147. Lin Xian squinted his eyes when he saw the 2 giant dragons surrounding the third prince. The aura that the third prince was emitting was definitely a treasure. Moreover, it was a top-notch treasure. It seemed that he had underestimated the third prince previously. However, he did not pay too much attention to it. So, what if the third prince had a trump card? It would not be easy for him to make a move in this valley. The Golden Lion King also turned his head and glanced at the third prince and the others. Then he withdrew his gaze and no longer paid attention to them. What he needed to do now was to find a way to get closer. As expected, when the third prince came in, he was overjoyed because he saw Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King standing in front of him. It seemed that he did not succeed. This way, he would definitely have a chance to get the treasure. But soon, he frowned, and there was even a hint of shock in his eyes. After entering the valley, he felt that the pressure had multiplied. The surrounding light pillars were a great threat to him. It caused the 2 dragons beside him to tremble slightly. Buzz. In the end, the third prince had no choice but to stop and land in the valley. Then he looked around in bewilderment. The elite almighties behind him were also frowning. Pressure, threat, they felt a great sense of danger. It was as if the light pillars in front of them could easily take their lives. What was that thing? How could it have such a terrifying aura? The third prince and the others were extremely shocked. The imperial family elders were also exclaiming. Through the third prince, they finally saw the scene in the valley. Lin Xian was there. The Golden Lion King was there too. Neither of them succeeded. That was great. Many of the imperial family elders let out a sigh of relief. That was because neither Lin Xian nor the Golden Lion King were from their imperial family. If they got the treasure, it would not be good for the imperial family. But if the third prince got it, it would be different. After all, the third prince was a member of the imperial family of the Tai dynasty. Moreover, he was a prince. If the third prince got it, it would be equivalent to the strength of the Tai dynasty increasing. But very quickly, these imperial family elders frowned because they discovered that the third prince and the others had stopped as well. They were no longer moving forward. What was going on? Why aren't you moving? Some elders frowned, while the other elders said. It seemed like this valley was not simple. Even Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King did not act rashly. Presumably, there was a huge crisis. Look, the flood dragon scissors are even shaking. Heavens, what kind of power is this? To be able to make the flood dragon scissors tremble? Some of the elders noticed this, and many of them cried out in surprise. The flood dragon scissors was a top-tier Earth rank artifact. Moreover, with the support of the Tao of Dragon, its power could be multiplied. It could be said to be incomparably terrifying. However, even with that being the case, the ravine was still trembling uncontrollably. From that, one could imagine how terrifying the aura and power inside was. What the hell was that? I don't know. However, from the looks of it, if it was a treasure, it would definitely surpass the Earth rank. Could it be a heaven-step treasure? Thinking of this, they sucked in a breath of cold air. Even their Tai dynasty only had a few heaven-grade treasures. The third prince and the others stopped in their tracks and looked ahead in bewilderment. Buzz. At this moment, an elder raised his hand and shot out a blue light shield which flew forward. This was a mid-tier Earth rank artifact. At this moment, it flew forward like a meteor. However, after flying for a few dozen meters, it exploded into pieces. Such terrifying power. Seeing this scene, the third prince and the others' faces turned ugly. They could not break a mid-tier Earth rank artifact, but here it shattered so easily. One could only imagine how terrifying the situation ahead was. Even if they had a top-tier Earth rank artifact, they might not be able to come out unscathed. It seemed like they had to make a good plan. At this moment, the Golden Lion King moved. He looked ahead like a god of war and took out a golden treasure wheel. That golden treasure will kept enlarging. In the end, it was like a mountain, completely enveloping the Golden Lion King. The golden treasure wheel was incomparably dazzling. It emitted mysterious runes and revolved around the Golden Lion King. That terrifying aura blocked the countless rays of light in front. Buzz. The Golden Lion King began to move its feet and walked forward. Although it had the protection of the supreme treasure wheel, it walked very carefully. Damn it, this Golden Lion King actually has such a treasure. Seeing this scene, the third prince and the others' faces turned ugly. On the other side, Lin Xian also made his move. He had many treasures in his hands. Heaven and earth treasures, cultivation techniques, secret manuals, and all kinds of artifacts. Even the wealth of a peerless almighty might not be as much as his. However, after looking around, he could not find anything that could resist the aura and power here. However, he thought of something else, the sage's hand bone. This was something he had spent a lot of effort and luck to obtain last time. It had been left in the black earth all this time. Because the sage's hand bone was too powerful, he could not control it. However, it seemed that he had to take it out in advance. The sage's hand bone should be able to resist the heaven-rank ancient sword. Therefore, Lin Xian communicated with He Tu and decided to use the sage's hand bone. Buzz. In the next moment, Lin Xian's expression turned solemn. A black armor appeared on his body, and the dragon sword domain completely enveloped him. He carefully controlled and took out the sage's hand bone from the black earth. This was not a complete bone, only a small section. It was very small and floated beside Lin Xian. It could be said that it was almost negligible. However, the aura it emitted was too terrifying. Moreover, there were countless runes flickering on it. This was a restriction created by He Tu and the Crimson Dragon together. Because the sage's hand bone in its complete state was too powerful, he could not withstand this power at all. It had to be sealed. On it, there were 9 ancient runes that formed 9 seals. Even so, Lin Xian still felt a burst of fear. He carefully controlled the sage's hand bone. As expected, the sage's hand bone was like a divine spear that cut through the countless light pillars in front of it. Then Lin Xian also moved forward. What? This kid also has a heaven-defying treasure. Seeing that Lin Xian could move forward again, the third prince and the surrounding mighty figures exclaimed, "Third prince, what should we do?" A few mighty figures asked. They had also used their treasures, but it was difficult for them to move forward. It seemed that they could only use that thing. The third prince gritted his teeth, and a hint of determination appeared in his eyes. Chapter 2148. After all, he was already here. If he were to go back now, he would definitely be unwilling. Therefore, he decided to use his trump card again. Buzz. A silver-white light appeared from his body and hung above his head. It was a silver bottle that was 1/2 meter tall. There were mysterious runes carved on it. Under the support of the dragon aura, it quickly expanded and formed a silver light that enveloped Prince Shan and the others. The imperial bottle. It wasn't an earth-rank artifact, but an imperial bottle. It was refined by the top blacksmith of the imperial physician dynasty. It was extremely powerful, even surpassing a top-grade artifact. However, there was also a shortcoming, and that was that the number of times he could use it was limited. Normally, he could only use it 3 to 5 times. It could be said that it was extremely precious. Unless it was an emergency, it wouldn't be taken out. Sure enough, when the third prince took out the royal Dao bottle, the elders in the Grand Imperial Hall began to discuss after seeing it. It seemed that the third prince had made up his mind and was determined to obtain freedom. Otherwise, he wouldn't take out the imperial bottle. That's right. This item should be used in the final battle against the first prince and the 8th prince. Now that he took it out, what would he use at that time? There was no choice. The item in front was too tempting. If he could get it, even the first prince wouldn't be able to fight against him. Everyone was discussing, but their eyes were all on the light screen. Even the Empress was nervous. Fortunately, the Golden Lion King was still inside, and it seemed to be walking at the front. This made her feel more at ease. As long as the Golden Lion King got the treasure, he would be able to help the first prince defeat the other princes. However, what made her worried was that the young man called Lin Xian was following closely behind. His speed wasn't slow either. Lin Xian was the 8th prince's man. She couldn't let him get the treasure. The Empress snorted in her heart. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the Golden Lion King arrived. When he was 100 meters away from the center, the pressure and power there became stronger again. Clang! The Golden Lion King also suffered a great impact. The golden wheel above his head emitted an incomparable light. The two of them clashed, creating a shocking collision. The handsome face of the Golden Lion King was also somewhat malevolent. He roared angrily, and the golden wheel blossomed with light. It was like a sun as it spun quickly. Then they formed beams of powerful light that tore the void into pieces. Under the terrifying rotation of the golden wheel, the murderous aura permeated the surroundings and shattered the pressure in front of him. This caused the Golden Lion King to move forward once again. How terrifying! When the royal elders saw this scene, they cried out in alarm. This should be the War Clan's magical treasure, right? It was incomparably terrifying after all. On the other side, Lin Xian had also reached the 100-meter mark. Suddenly, he felt the pressure increase exponentially. Immediately, his black battle armor began to tremble rapidly. The light on it also trembled nonstop, as if it would shatter at any moment. Lin Xian took a deep breath as a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, he carefully shot a beam of energy at the saint's hand bone. Wang! The sage's hand bone released a terrifying pressure that blasted away the energy in front of it. Lin Xian felt that the pressure on him had decreased a lot, which made him heave a sigh of relief. However, he still walked forward with a serious expression. This brat had also successfully entered. What is that thing in his hand? The royal elders cried out in alarm. They couldn't see it clearly. It couldn't be helped. It was just a light screen. They couldn't see through the light to see the real thing. However, thinking about it, it was definitely a rare treasure. Everyone looked at Lin Xian. Their eyes flickered, as if they wanted to pierce through the void. However, they couldn't do it at all. But soon, these imperial family elders looked at the third prince. The imperial vase above the third prince's head released a supreme aura as it led the powerful beings forward quickly. When he reached the 100-meter mark, he also felt the pressure increase exponentially. As a result, the imperial vase emitted a supreme aura. Strands of golden aura drooped down and coiled around the third prince like a golden dragon, blocking the pressure. The third prince and the others set off again. They carefully walked forward. Boom! When they reached the 50-meter mark, the pressure increased exponentially again. The Golden Lion King stopped in its tracks. However, it soon roared and blew the huge horn on its head again, causing it to spin rapidly. It was like a divine artifact, releasing a terrifying power. When Lin Xian reached the 50-meter mark, he also felt the impact. He carefully injected another beam of energy. Then the pressure of a saint erupted again. The third prince also pushed the imperial vase above his head. Like a divine artifact, thousands of beams of light hung down. The three of them resisted the pressure of the 50-meter mark. However, the speed of the three of them became extremely slow, because if they went further, the pressure would become even more terrifying. Even if the three of them had powerful treasures in their hands, they still had to be careful. When they reached the 40-meter mark, the Golden Lion King stopped. His face was a little pale. It was obvious that using the imperial vase with all his strength consumed a lot of his energy. Lin Xian didn't move forward rashly, because he was a little afraid of the saint's hand bone in his hand. If this thing were to explode, it would be a terrifying threat to him. The third prince and the others also stopped. At this moment, not only the third prince, but the four powerful beings around him were also crazily injecting their internal energy into the imperial vase. They used the power of this artifact to the extreme. However, when they reached the 40-meter mark, their scalps also went numb. The pressure here was already extremely great. The five of them had no choice but to use all their strength. However, when they reached the 35-meter mark, the imperial vase above the Golden Lion King's head suddenly emitted a cracking sound. A small crack appeared on it, and it quickly became bigger. What? That artifact was actually broken. When the imperial family elders saw this scene, they were extremely shocked. Although the imperial vase was separated by a light screen, they could imagine how terrifying it was. However, now it actually couldn't withstand the pressure of the light pillar that reached the sky. It was simply too unbelievable. The Golden Lion King's expression also stiffened. Then he stopped. His face was incomparably gloomy. That was because the imperial vase above his head had a crack. This was the artifact he brought out from the war race. It was even more terrifying than a peak Earth rank artifact. However, now that a crack had appeared, he couldn't help but be shocked. At the same time, he also felt a trace of pain. Therefore, he stopped for a moment, because he didn't dare to move forward. If the imperial vase cracked, then the impact on him would be huge. Boom! It wasn't just the Golden Lion King. A crack also appeared on the imperial vase above the third prince's head. This made the faces of the third prince and the others become incomparably ugly. Chapter 2149. The imperial elders were also shocked. What? Even the imperial treasured vase cracked. Just what kind of terrifying realm had that pressure reached? Perhaps even a peerless expert wouldn't dare to stay here. What about that kid with the surname Lin? Did his item crack? Everyone looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian stopped 35 meters away and didn't move. It was impossible for the sage's hand bone to crack. However, cracks appeared on the light on his body, and it seemed like it would shatter at any time. However, Lin Xian gritted his teeth and undid the first seal. The sage's aura increased greatly. The damaged light screen was restored once again. Lin Xian also wore a jade pendant. This jade pendant was also given to him by Hey Tuesday. It could be used to establish a connection with the seal on the sage's hand. This way, he wouldn't be affected too much. As expected, Lin Xian felt that the sage's aura had weakened a lot when he wore the jade pendant. If he didn't have the jade pendant, he would have no choice but to use the great dragon sword soul. Regardless of whether it was the sage's oppressive might or the sky-reaching pillar of light, the pressure brought about by them was simply too strong. Fortunately, he wasn't in too much of a threat right now. Therefore, in the next moment, he moved forward again. What? That kid's treasure wasn't damaged. How was that possible? When the imperial elders saw this scene, their eyeballs almost popped out. Even the imperial treasured vase and the war race's treasure were cracked. What kind of treasure did this kid have that he could be safe and sound? Damn it, where did this kid come from? Wasn't he too mysterious? What kind of treasure did he have to be able to resist such a terrifying power? Discussions could be heard. Even the Empress's eyes were cold. The Emperor's eyes flickered. Damn it! When the third prince and the others saw this scene, their faces darkened. Their imperial treasured vase cracked, but the other party was fine. They couldn't believe it. On the other side, the Golden Lion King didn't say anything. However, he also stared at Lin Xian's figure with a cold, killing intent in his eyes. In the next moment, he roared again and walked forward. Ka, ka, ka. Following the Golden Lion King's footsteps, the cracks on the golden chakra above its head became even bigger. In an instant, 3 cracks appeared, and they were still increasing. On the other side, the third prince and the others were also gritting their teeth. He and the 4 elite powerhouses were going all out to get out of the ecliptic Aquarius. Cracks also appeared on the surface of the sword, spreading all over it. From the looks of it, it would shatter at any moment. In the end, Lin Xian was the first to reach the 30-meter mark and stopped. The Golden Lion King followed closely behind. However, when it reached the 30-meter mark, the pressure once again doubled. This caused the golden wheel above his head to instantly shatter into pieces. Humph! A sharp radiance appeared in the Golden Lion King's eyes. At the same time, a magic treasure quickly appeared on its body. That was a large golden cauldron. It was like a giant mountain as it floated above his head. Tens of thousands of streaks of radiance hung down, surrounding him, so that he would not be harmed by the beam of light. However, his face was unusually pale. Boom! When the third prince and the others arrived, the zodiac treasured vase above their heads shattered. The third prince and the others cried out in surprise. Then the flood dragon scissors turned into two giant dragons that were hundreds of feet long and surrounded them. Then these people quickly retreated. When they reached the 50-meter mark, a purple pagoda appeared above their heads. It protected the third prince and the 4 elite powerhouses, temporarily withstanding the pressure. However, the 5 people's faces were incomparably ugly because they had failed. With the power of the Emperor Base treasure, they could only withstand the pressure for 30 meters. They could not withstand any further. Even if the third prince still had an Emperor Base treasure, he would not be able to reach the end. Therefore, their faces were extremely ugly. Was the third prince going to give up? The imperial family elders also cried out in surprise. They could see that the third prince did not have the ability to reach the end. There was no other way. They were not well prepared. Not to mention the third prince. Even the 8th prince and the eldest prince might not be able to reach the end. Damn it. If only we could go in. A imperial family elder gritted his teeth. The other elders also said, yes, even if we could not go in, we could have gotten the news in advance. We would have let these princes bring more treasures. But now, they were not well prepared. It seemed that they could only wait for the next time. An elder sighed. Yes, even an Emperor Base treasure could not withstand the pressure. The Golden Lion King and Lin Xian would not be able to reach the end. No one would be able to take the treasure. It was okay. This space was always under the control of the Tai dynasty. Next time, we would definitely be well prepared. At that time, we would definitely get the treasure. These elders discussed animatedly and began to prepare for the next entry. After all, the pressure emitted by the treasure was too terrifying. It was definitely a heaven-grade treasure. If they could get it, the strength of the Tai dynasty would increase. This was a very important matter to them. Of course, all their plans were based on the premise that the Golden Lion King and Lin Xian would not be able to get the treasure in the end. Therefore, all the imperial family elders were looking at the Golden Lion King. They were all looking at Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King. The Golden Lion King had a golden cauldron on his head. His body was overflowing with light, and a mysterious rune appeared on his forehead. It seemed that the Golden Lion King had activated the power of his bloodline. The golden cauldron on his head was not simple either. They wondered if he could reach the end. Those imperial family elders discussed, but many of them shook their heads. It was too difficult. The Golden Lion King was too young. If he had the cultivation of a peerless almighty, he would definitely be able to reach the end. But now he was still far from it. As the crowd discussed among themselves, many of them turned to look at Lin Xian. Lin Xian's face was also very serious. The sage's hand bone in front of him was emitting a monstrous aura, blocking the pressure that filled the sky. Countless sword chi surrounded his body, protecting him. He was not worried about the sage's hand bone breaking because it was hard to find in the world. No matter how strong the pressure in front of him was, it might not be able to break the hand bone. What he needed to do was to protect himself and not be threatened by the sage's aura. However, He Tu and the Crimson Dragon seemed to be very reliable this time. The jade pendant they gave him played a huge role. The two of them slowly moved forward. However, when they were 25 meters away, another crack appeared on the golden cauldron on the Golden Lion King's head. This made the Golden Lion King's face unsightly. The rune on his forehead shone even more brightly. An incomparably terrifying bloodline power gushed out from the Golden Lion King's forehead and poured into the golden cauldron. The war race was born for battle. This was not a joke. At this moment, the bloodline power in the Golden Lion King's body was surging nonstop. Soon after, a huge golden illusion appeared on his body. Chapter 2150. Roar. The golden figure roared towards the sky. Its body was covered with runes. Then, it grabbed the golden cauldron and smashed it forward. Boom. A void appeared in front of it. The terrifying energy was also torn apart. The Golden Lion King took a step forward and instantly arrived 20 meters away. However, this was already his limit. Although he was a prodigy of the war race, he was still young. Moreover, his cultivation was only that of a 6-star king. Therefore, it wasn't easy for him to come here. Looking at the 20-meter distance, the Golden Lion King's eyes flickered. His expression was incomparably gloomy. Normally, he could travel back and forth a few hundred times in an instant. However, he couldn't even move a centimeter forward. On the other side, Lin Xian also coldly shouted and activated the second restriction. Immediately, the pressure of the saint's hand bone became even stronger. He also arrived at the 20-meter distance. Then, he glanced at the Golden Lion King in the distance and took another step forward. 19 meters. What? He could still move forward. At this moment, the Golden Lion King was stunned. The third prince and the surrounding experts were all stunned. Those royal elders were all stunned. They looked at Lin Xian's figure in disbelief. Damn it! How could this be? The Golden Lion King's expression was gloomy. There was a trace of madness in his eyes, because he didn't dare to believe that he, a prodigy of the war race, couldn't move forward even after using his bloodline power and the treasures of the war race. However, the other party could still move forward. How could this be? How could the other party compare to him? In terms of aptitude, identity, bloodline, talent, and strength, he thought that he could crush the other party. But now the other party was actually in front of him. He couldn't accept this. The third prince and the others were also stunned. How could the other party still move forward? Even the Golden Lion King stopped. How could the other party move forward? They couldn't accept this. As for those royal elders, their expressions were also ugly. Originally, when the Golden Lion King stopped, they were relieved. It seemed that even the prodigy of the war race couldn't move forward. This made them believe that no one could obtain the treasure. Perhaps they could obtain it the next time they entered. However, Lin Xian's performance exceeded their expectations. The fact that the other party was still able to advance surprised them greatly. Damn it! What exactly is this kid's Dharma treasure? How could he be so strong? No matter how much they guessed, they would never have guessed that Lin Xian actually had the bone of a saint. Even though they did not know what it was, everyone was glaring at Lin Xian right now, especially the Golden Lion King. The killing intent in its eyes transformed into a materialized sharp sword, slashing forward. However, when the killing intent left his body, it was crushed by the overwhelming power of the sky-reaching light pillar. Lin Xian didn't care about them at all. He carefully controlled the saint's hand bone and walked forward. Finally, Lin Xian arrived at the 10-meter mark. Everyone's hearts were raised to their throats. It was too crucial. In the last 10 meters, could the other party hold on? Could he continue? This was extremely important to all of them. Lin Xian also stopped in his tracks, his eyes flickering as he looked to the front. He could still clearly see the ancient sword in front of him. However, the pressure in the last 10 meters was too great. Even if he opened 2 seals now, he might not be able to contend against it. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to open the 3rd seal. At the same time, he sent a voice transmission to the Crimson Dragon and Hate Tuesday. He told them to prepare to seal it. After all, a heaven stage treasure was too terrifying. Just like the saint's hand bone, he still couldn't control it. However, this didn't mean that he couldn't get it into the black earth. The equipment inside was complete. As long as he provided energy, he could seal the Heaven Stage ancient sword. Now that Lin Xian had acquired so many precious treasures, it wasn't difficult for him to activate the black earthen and seal it. "Don't worry, there's enough energy," He Tu replied. Lin Xian nodded and then sent a voice transmission again. "Ruzalong, prepare the profound jade platform. After the Heaven Stage treasure sword is collected, we will immediately teleport away. Don't worry, the profound jade platform is also prepared." There were 3 floating profound jade platforms beside the Crimson Dragon. Lin Xian had no choice but to be careful. After all, this was a Heaven Stage treasure. Although others might not know about it, just the aura it emitted was enough to shock them. This would definitely cause a huge pursuit. Not to mention others, the Golden Lion King and the third prince behind him would definitely not let this go. He had to leave this place quickly to avoid being surrounded by these people. After explaining everything, Lin Xian opened the third seal and walked forward again. Everyone else held their breaths and stared at Lin Xian's back. They didn't know if Lin Xian would succeed, because they didn't dare to believe it. The pressure of the last 10 meters would increase exponentially. How could the other party resist it? Perhaps even a peerless expert wouldn't be able to resist it. 10 meters, 9 meters, 8 meters, 7 meters. As he got closer and closer, everyone became more and more nervous. When Lin Xian arrived at the front, everyone was stunned. They didn't dare to believe that a 6-star king could reach the center of that kind of power. How did the other party do it? No, damn it. The Golden Lion King's face was cold. The third prince and the others roared crazily. However, everything was useless. Their voices were mercilessly crushed by the power in front of them. Only Lin Xian's back was left in front of them. Lin Xian was under great pressure. The dragon sword soul appeared on his body and enveloped him. "Do it." Hey Tuesday Lin Xian controlled the saint's hand bone, and the dragon sword soul surrounded his body to resist the power in the surroundings. And above him, a black hole appeared. Immediately after, countless runes flew out and turned into rays of divine light in the sky, completely enveloping the Heaven Stage ancient sword. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The Heaven Stage ancient sword naturally wasn't willing to be subdued so easily. It launched a crazy counterattack. Boom. In an instant, the entire valley was razed to the ground. Terrifying energy spread in all directions. Not good. Run. When the third prince and the others saw this scene, their faces changed drastically. They couldn't care about anything else and ran out crazily. The Golden Lion King roared. He was unwilling to give up. The rune between his brows flickered incomparably. He circulated the power of his bloodline to the extreme, wanting to resist. But in the end, he still couldn't resist. More cracks appeared on the golden cauldron above his head. It was about to shatter. Damn it! The Golden Lion King roared, and could only retreat helplessly, because if he stayed any longer, he would probably be torn to pieces by this power. Boom! Everyone retreated. The valley in front of them was completely enveloped by countless rays of sword chi, forming a void. In the Grand Imperial Hall, the elders discovered that the light screen in front of them was also chaotic. They couldn't see clearly at all. It seemed that the heavenly treasure was enraged and emitted a terrifying energy. That brat should have been blasted to pieces. Chapter 2151. Inside the Grand Imperial Hall, the elders realized that the light screen in front of them was also in chaos. They couldn't see it clearly at all. From the looks of it, that natural treasure must have been enraged and was emitting a terrifying energy. That kid should have been blasted into pieces. That was natural. This power had already surpassed that of a peerless almighty. No one could contend against it. Perhaps only an invincible king could contend against it. Even a top genius like the Golden Lion King, had retreated. What ability did that kid have to stay inside? Everyone discussed, and even sneered. In their opinion, Lin Xian should have been killed. Lin Xian had indeed suffered a great impact, so he frantically broke the fourth seal. Suddenly, the pressure of the sage increased. The terrifying pressure shattered heaven and earth. Roar! Lin Xian blocked the violent energy. However, his face was pale and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Fortunately, the great dragon sword's soul rushed out and circled around his body. It let out a loud dragon roar and blocked the pressure of the sage. Inside the black earth, countless runes were like a river of stars. In the end, they completely sealed the heaven-ranked ancient sword. Inside the black earth, a black soil floated in the air. In front of it, there was a huge array. On top of the array, there were 9 fist-sized divine crystals. They provided the energy of the entire array. Then, 9 ancient runes floated out and quickly surged forward. They completely enveloped the heaven-ranked ancient sword. This sealing method was the method used to seal the sage's hand bone. If it could even seal the sage's hand bone, it could be imagined that this priceless sword could also be sealed. Sure enough, the 9 ancient and mysterious runes entered the heaven-ranked ancient sword. Then the heaven-ranked ancient sword's fierce aura disappeared. The light that filled the sky and the terrifying aura also quickly retreated. Lin Xian took a step forward, waved his arm, and pulled out the heaven-ranked ancient sword. Clang! The ancient sword broke out of the ground. Lin Xian was stunned. Broken sword? That's right, it was a broken sword. It was only about 2/3 of a normal longsword. It seemed that the tip of the sword was broken. Lin Xian was extremely shocked, but there was no time to think. The terrifying power was disappearing, and he had to leave quickly. In the next moment, he threw the heaven-ranked ancient sword into the black earth and took the 3 profound jade platforms from Ruzalong. Whoa! He infused his spiritual energy into one of the profound jade platforms, which emitted a bright light. Then, a spatial array appeared under his feet. Then, a spatial door appeared. Outside, the Golden Lion King and the third prince kept staring ahead. However, at this moment, they were shocked. This was because the berserk aura in front of them was receding like the tide, and the light that filled the sky had also disappeared. Then he disappeared. Damn it, what happened? What about that energy? Could it be that the kid had subdued a rare treasure of heaven and earth? The third prince exclaimed. The Golden Lion King's expression was malevolent as he roared. Damn it, leave the treasure behind. Then, a huge golden palm covered the sky and pounced forward. Humph! The third prince also snorted coldly and activated the flood dragon scissors. 2 huge flood dragons spiraled and turned into 1,000 feet long flood dragon phantom that rushed out. The 9 trapping arrays outside were broken, and Daoist Long and the Lord of the Underworld were able to escape. They soared into the sky and also looked forward. The eyes of the royal elders flickered as they stared at the light screen. Damn it, could it be that the kid had succeeded? Impossible! How could he have succeeded? What kind of heaven-grade treasure did he use to seal it? That's right! That level of treasure was not something that he could withstand. Even if he could get close, he would not be able to use it. Everyone discussed, not believing that the other party could succeed. But what was the situation now? When did the treasure's aura disappear? This meant that the other party had subdued a rare treasure of heaven and earth. Although they did not want to believe it, they had to accept this fact. So, in the next moment, they looked at the light screen again. In the sky, the huge palm that covered the sky slammed down, and 2 flood dragon phantoms quickly moved through the void. However, Lin Xian was 1 step ahead of them. He had left through the profound jade platform's teleportation. Boom, boom. The valley was torn apart by the terrifying energy, but no one was left behind. This made the faces of the third prince and the others gloomy. The Golden Lion King roared at the sky. He let out a terrifying roar, and divine lightning fell from the sky. The treasure is mine, and no one can take it away. His figure flickered, and he appeared in front of them. Then his eyes were like lightning. The power of space. That kid had teleported away. You can't run away. I will kill you even if you are at the end of the world. I will take the treasure back. The Golden Lion King waved his hand, and a space scroll appeared. Then it wrapped around him and shattered the void, and he disappeared. Go. The third prince also shouted coldly. He also took out a space scroll and quickly teleported away. The world quieted down, and countless rays of light disappeared. Only the shattered valley and the cracked ground were left. Now, only Taoist Long and the Lord of the Underworld were left. The Lord of the Underworld's face was gloomy. Damn. Both of us ran away. What should we do? Go back the way we came? No, let's go back too. Since they have all left, there is no need for us to stay. I have to report to the eighth prince. Lin Xian had snatched the rare treasure, and he would probably become the target of everyone's attacks. As he said that, he also took out a token. This is a teleportation token. It can allow us to return to the eighth prince's side, but there is only one chance. Taoist Long said in a deep voice. Then he crushed the teleportation token, and the power of space wrapped around the two of them, and they disappeared. Boom. Outside the dark canyon, 30,000 miles to the west, the void cracked. Then Lin Xian's figure appeared. As soon as Lin Xian appeared, he circulated his spiritual energy to eliminate the dizziness caused by the space. Then he looked around. Fortunately, it seemed that he had come out of the dark canyon. This way, he would be much safer. After all, it was very dangerous to be alone in the Hengyang Canyon. Soon, he frowned and looked at the sky. Then his figure flickered, and he flew into the distance. That was because he felt an extremely unstable power of space coming from the sky. Someone should be teleporting over. Boom. As expected, not long after Lin Xian left, the sky in the distance shattered, and the figure of a golden god of war appeared. The Golden Lion King had come out. As soon as he came out, he roared, and the surrounding mountains below exploded. Then the golden aura on his body formed a lion that sensed the surroundings. As for the Golden Lion King, he suddenly opened his eyes. Remnant power. You really appeared here. You can't escape. As he said that, the Golden Lion King turned into a golden lightning and chased after him. Not long after the Golden Lion King left, the third prince and the others also shattered the void and appeared in the sky. Then their faces turned gloomy. Damn it, he disappeared. We can't catch up. The third prince frowned. The powerful figures around him said, "Why don't we spread the news?" Chapter 2152. Then we'll secretly gather our people and form a team. That way, we'll let others help us find that kid's whereabouts. After we find him, we'll attack and snatch him. All right, let's do that. The third prince nodded. Then they began to move. Firstly, they gathered everyone and returned to the third prince's side. Secondly, these mighty figures quickly spread the news. On the other side, the eighth prince and the others were waiting patiently outside the dark canyon. However, they were a little anxious because it was almost the appointed time, but the other party had yet to appear. Buzz, at that moment, a jade pendant on the eighth prince's waist floated up and released a mysterious talisman. The eighth prince opened his eyes and frowned. Is that a teleportation token? Could it be that they've encountered some danger and had no choice but to use the teleportation token? At the next moment, he said in a deep voice, "Everyone, prepare to receive them. Our people are coming out." The surrounding mighty figures also opened their eyes and stood up. Their auras surged as they prepared to receive them at any time. Boom. Crack. Soon, the void on their left cracked open, and two figures appeared. As soon as the two figures appeared, two mighty figures walked up and protected them. At the same time, the other two mighty figures rushed out and stared at the void. Fortunately, no danger rushed out. Then, the Lord of the Underworld and Taoist Master Long regained their composure. However, everyone's expression was not good, especially the eighth prince, who frowned. "Where's Lin Xian? Why hasn't Lin Xian come out? Could it be that he's in danger?" The others also looked over. Taoist Master Long said in a deep voice, "He's indeed in danger, but it's not what you think." Soon, Taoist Master Long gave a rough account of what had happened inside. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air after hearing this. They were envious. On the other hand, the eighth prince frowned. "You're saying that Lin Xian has obtained a rare treasure and left the Golden Lion King, the third prince, and the others are chasing after him?" "That's indeed the case." Taoist Master Long sighed. "No one would not be jealous of a rare treasure. Lin Xian had obtained it and had to bear the consequences of being hunted down. However, it's up to you now, eighth prince. Do you want the treasure, or do you want Lin Xian to help you become the crown prince?" "Crown prince, of course," the eighth prince said in a deep voice. Then, with a serious expression, he gave the order. Just like that, all news of Lin Xian would be sealed. No one was allowed to leak any information about him. Find out where Lin Xian is and get in contact with him. We'll become enemies with the other princes. At that moment, a mighty figure, the eighth prince. After the eighth prince heard this, he sneered, becoming enemies with the other princes. The crown prince, the overworld, overlook the overlook, over. The sovereign overs S speak. The eighth prince said, "Everyone is our enemy in the crown prince competition. Our stance remains unchanged. We'll support Lin Xian. Let's go. Let's go. I suspect that the third prince will do something. We have to meet up with Lin Xian quickly. Let's send out a warning. Hunting down Lin Xian means becoming our enemy." Everyone took a deep breath after hearing this. It seems like the eighth prince is going to protect Lin Xian with all his strength. That's right. Lin Xian is too important to the eighth prince, whether it's in the first round or in the second round. Lin Xian has provided great help for the eighth prince to become the crown prince. Now, it's reasonable for the eighth prince to protect Lin Xian. This also made everyone feel a lot more at ease, because this matter showed that the eighth prince was not a person who coveted treasures, but a prince who was worthy of trust. Soon, the eighth prince's side started to move. The elders in the grand imperial hall looked at the screen with complicated expressions. The eighth prince has chosen to support Lin Xian. The third prince had started to spread the news and contact the other princes. The first prince had also started to move. I have to say, the first prince's intelligence network is really developed. He got the news so quickly. I wonder what will happen in the end. I think it will be more intense than the usual crown prince competition. After all, the overworld treasure has lit a fire in the crown prince competition. The elders were discussing. Sure enough, under the third prince's great efforts, the news spread quickly. When the other princes, elites, and young geniuses found out that Lin Xian had obtained an earth-shattering overworld treasure, they were all shocked. What? An overworld treasure? An overworld treasure that surpasses the Earth rank, or even a peak Earth rank treasure, would break in front of him. Rumor has it that it might be a heavenly ranked treasure. Did such a thing really appear? And it was obtained by a junior? The eyes of the older generation's almighties turned red, as if they were injected with chicken blood. The eyes of the other princes were even more fiery. If the description was true, then it was definitely a heaven-defying treasure. After obtaining it, their strength would undergo a tremendous change. Therefore, they started to move. Hurry up and find that Lin Xian. We can't let him go. We must get the treasure. If we can't, kill him. Hurry up, let's get the treasure first. One order after another was passed down. The princes, elite almighties, and peerless geniuses were all on the move, searching for Lin Xian all over the world. When the third prince saw this, his lips curled up into a cold smile. Humph, despicable brat. How dare you snatch the treasure in front of Ben Huang? Let's see how you die now. On the other side, the first prince's side was moving quickly. I heard that the Golden Lion King is already chasing that brat. That brat won't be able to escape. Let's go too. That Lin Xian is a genius of the 8th prince. If Tian can kill him, the 8th prince will definitely go crazy. Let's see how he can compete with me for the crown prince position. The first prince sneered. When the 8th prince heard the news, his face darkened. Damn it, the news actually spread out so quickly. Someone must be adding fuel to the fire. Needless to say, it must be the 3rd prince. The Golden Lion King doesn't need to do that. The Lord of the Underworld snorted. It's better to hurry up and find Lin Xian. It's dangerous for him to be surrounded by others. On the 8th prince's side, he led his men to move quickly. On the other side, Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King started their pursuit. However, Lin Xian still had the profound jade platform. Therefore, he teleported again, causing the Golden Lion King to lose its target. Ah, damn brat, don't let me catch you, otherwise I'll tear you into pieces. The Golden Lion King was furious. His voice shattered another dozen or so mountain peaks in the surroundings. However, a few figures soared into the sky from one of the mountains. Damn it, who is it? Who dares to disturb me while I'm snatching the treasure? Chapter 2153. From one of the mountain peaks, a few silhouettes soared into the sky. Damn it, who is it? How dare you disturb me when I'm trying to snatch the treasure? There were 3 silhouettes, 2 men, and 1 woman. All of them were middle-aged, and their faces were extremely cold. They were the subordinates of the 12th prince. Originally, they found a spiritual herb in the valley below and were about to snatch it. However, they did not expect that the surrounding mountain peaks would explode, and even the spiritual herb would be blown to pieces. This made them extremely angry. Therefore, they soared into the sky, wanting to see who dared to provoke them. However, when they saw the figure, their faces turned green. Damn it, it's actually the Golden Lion King. Not good. Run. They had heard of how terrifying the Golden Lion King was. They probably would not be able to defeat it. Therefore, they could only turn around and run. Humph! The Golden Lion King coldly snorted. He waved his hand, and suddenly 3 sharp rays of light shot out, turning into divine spears that reached the heavens and chased after them. Puff, puff, puff. 3 golden divine spears pierced through the void, and then pierced through the bodies of the 3 kings, nailing them to the sky. Then the golden divine spears exploded, and the bodies of the 3 kings also exploded, turning into a bloody mist. The Golden Lion King turned around, tore through the void, and left this place. On the other side, Lin Xian also slowed down. He spread out his soul power to check the surroundings. He found that the Golden Lion King was no longer around. It seemed that he had gotten rid of the other party. This made him sigh in relief. Next, he descended and took out a few pills to consume to recover his inner strength. At the same time, he quickly thought about what to do next. There's someone there. That kid? Isn't that Lin Xian? It's really him. In the distant sky, 3 silhouettes flew over quickly. They were an old man and 2 young men. They looked down at Lin Xian with ecstasy. Ha ha, it's that kid. The heavens are helping me. The old man also laughed sinisterly. Kid, hand over the treasure in your hands, and I can spare your life. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. At the end of his words, the old man emitted a terrifying aura that shattered the surrounding heaven and earth. You guys know? Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. How did they know? Kid, don't hide it. Who doesn't know that you have a treasure in your hands? One of the young men also sneered. However, you're not fated to obtain a rare treasure. There are too many people here who are stronger than you. Those princes, elites, and seniors, which one of them isn't an expert. What ability do you have that you want to monopolize this rare treasure of heaven and earth? Hand it over obediently, and I can spare your life. Otherwise, it will be the day of your death. Cold shouts could be heard. Lin Xian's face darkened when he heard that. It seemed that the news had already spread, and the speed at which it spread was even faster than he had imagined. But why did it turn out like this? He had just come out, so logically speaking, these people should not have known. Lin Xian's face darkened. And king to S and to T, and it. Maybe it's the third prince's doing in the dark. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's eyes flashed with killing intent. How dare he spread the news and get everyone to attack him? This third prince really deserves to die. It seemed like he was in big trouble. Everyone was looking for him. What was the eighth prince's attitude? Lin Xian shook his head. He couldn't put all his hopes on the eighth prince. He had to think of a way himself. The three people above saw Lin Xian's eyes flickering, but they ignored him. They were furious. How dare he ignore them? Unforgivable. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. One of the young men snorted and slashed down with the green sword in his hand. The sword chi was like a rainbow. It turned into a 1,000-meter-long sword light and enveloped Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian came back to his senses. He snorted and punched out. The black fist instantly shattered the 1,000-meter-long sword chi. Then he said coldly, "Get lost. Don't kill more people than me. Kid, I admit that you're strong. You're almost invincible among the younger generation. However, we're not fighting one-on-one. If we work together, we might be able to defeat you." The young man laughed coldly. "Moreover, we have Senior Huang Feng with us. Do you think you can escape?" The young man sneered. He was very arrogant. Indeed, in his opinion, it shouldn't be difficult for such a team to crush Lin Xian. "You're courting death." Lin Xian snorted. Since the other party wanted to die, he wouldn't be lenient. In the sky, the two young men smiled. "Senior Huang Feng, please help us. We'll go down and capture this kid." The old man nodded. He stood with his hands behind his back. His expression was very cold. He was an elite almighty, while the other party was only a 6-star king. In his opinion, although this person was a peerless genius, he wouldn't be able to withstand one of his attacks. "Kid, kneel down and accept your death." The two young men stepped forward. One of them held a long sword, while the other held a battle saber. Their auras were like thunder, and their black hair danced wildly. "Kill." The two of them turned into lightning and rushed down quickly. In an instant, they arrived beside Lin Xian and slashed mercilessly with their swords and sabers. Buzz, buzz. However, Lin Xian stretched out his palms and grabbed in front of him. In the next moment, he grabbed the two young men's weapons. "You want to fight us barehanded? You're courting death." The two young men sneered. Lin Xian was too arrogant. They would let Lin Xian know the price of underestimating them. Boom. However, in the next moment, they were stunned. There was even a strong sense of fear in their eyes. That was because the treasured sabers and swords in their hands were instantly crushed into countless pieces by Lin Xian. What? How is that possible? Damn it, how did he do it? The two young prodigies were extremely shocked, and their faces were filled with fear. How could Lin Xian be so powerful? He could even crush their treasured weapons with his bare hands? No one answered them. Lin Xian's palm was wrapped in a dragon-shaped sword chi. Then he held the broken sword and saber and slashed in front of him. Poof, poof, poof. Two heads flew up, and then two corpses fell to the ground, staining the ground red with blood. They were killed. After seeing this, the elite mighty figure's pupils constricted, and his face was filled with shock. Lin Xian's method was too powerful. Although he could do it too, he was an elite mighty figure. Lin Xian was a 6-star king. How could he be so powerful? Those two pieces of trash actually need me to deal with them personally. The elder snorted. In his opinion, the two young men were too weak. That was why Lin Xian had to kill them. Kid, don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you killed two people. You're still not strong enough in front of me. The elite mighty figure snorted coldly, then stretched out his palm and grabbed in front of him. I'll write crazily all night and continue during the day. Brothers, please support me. Recommend me. Monthly votes. Subscribe. Collection. Reward me. Please support me. Chapter 2154. His move was extremely arrogant. It was as if he was pinching an ant instead of Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian sneered and drew his demonic sword. His body turned into a sharp sword light and slashed out. Buzz! What a powerful sword chi! The elite powerhouse's expression changed. Damn it! How could he be so powerful? The sword chi was too sharp. It made him feel as if he was on the verge of death. He wanted to stop the next moment, but it was too late. Puffed! The sword light flashed and instantly pierced through his hand. Blood flowed wildly as his bones shattered. The elite powerhouse screamed. However, what shocked him even more was yet to come. The sword light did not weaken. Instead, it became stronger and stronger. Then, it suddenly exploded. Boom! The terrifying sword chi instantly swallowed his entire right arm. Then his right arm left his body and flew into the sky. The powerhouse turned around and ran. Life was better than any treasure. You want to run? Lin Xian sneered. The sword in his hand exploded again, and streaks of chaotic sword chi quickly shot out. The powerhouse did not dare to take it head-on. He quickly threw out two shields. At the same time, a blue pagoda appeared above his head and enveloped his body. He could only passively defend. He only wanted to escape as soon as possible. Boom, boom, boom. However, Lin Xian's chaotic sword chi was a heaven-grade cultivation technique. It was extremely terrifying. In an instant, the backs of the two shields were cut open, and the blue pagoda above his head was sent flying. All of the elder's defensive methods were broken. Seeing this scene, the elder's scalp went numb. He was scared out of his wits. He had never seen such a technique before. He knew that he had been careless this time. He had kicked an iron plate. The young man in front of him could not be measured by common sense. He was definitely a terrifying figure. Boom! At this moment, countless blood-colored sword runes appeared under Lin Xian's feet. Then, a black primordial shadow rushed out and turned into a huge black crocodile. Roar! The black crocodile charged forward with its bloody mouth open. In an instant, it swallowed the powerhouse. Boom! Boom! Dazzling light swept through heaven and earth. This breath could swallow mountains and rivers. Nothing could stop it. Sure enough, that supreme being screamed miserably. His body was cut in half and fell from the sky. Lin Xian waved his hand and took the man's storage ring. Then he shot out a black hellfire and burned the corpse After doing all this, he snorted coldly and turned around to leave. However, the battle was not over yet. In the next half a day, Lin Xian encountered 2 more attacks. Lin Xian didn't show any mercy either. Anyone who dared to attack him was mercilessly killed by him. When the other princes learned of this situation, their faces turned gloomy. That was because these geniuses and almighties were the elites under their command. Yet they had all been killed. How could they tolerate this? For a moment, the princes quickly joined hands and prepared to capture the other party. This was because they had also discovered that the other party was simply too powerful. Even though he was alone, he still had such combat strength. The 6th prince, the 7th prince, the 10th prince, and the 12th prince joined forces. The almighties and geniuses under their command also joined forces and formed powerful teams to surround and kill the other party. Among them, when a 3-man team found Lin Xian was cultivating. He was recovering his lost stamina, but when he saw another group of people coming, he suddenly opened his eyes. There was a monstrous light in his eyes. Humph! With a cold snort, Lin Xian decisively made his move. His black fist was like a mountain that shot into the sky. It instantly blew up a young prodigy. Boom! Blood splattered everywhere, and the void shattered. The remaining 2 people felt their scalps go numb when they saw this scene. They fled in 2 different directions. Their eyes were filled with fear. At the same time, they roared into the sky and let out sharp booms. Come over. That kid is here. They had used all their power to create sound waves, so everyone within a 10,000-mile radius could hear them. It even spread further. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, a few terrifying auras lit up in the distance. They turned into streams of light and quickly charged over. Another 3-man team flew over quickly. Obviously, they were the closest to this place. These 3 people joined up with the previous 2. There were a total of 5 people, 2 almighties and 3 young geniuses. They were like killing gods as they stared at Lin Xian. Kid, you're very arrogant. How dare you kill our people? Today is the day you die. Kneel down obediently and accept your death, and we'll let you live. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. The few of them stared at Lin Xian coldly like wild beasts, because the 5 of them were confident that they could destroy everything when they joined forces. No matter how strong the other party was, it was impossible for him to fight against them. You want to take me down with just the 5 of you? Lin Xian sneered. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. As he said that, he took a step forward, and the entire world trembled. Seeing that the other party still dared to attack, the 5 of them were furious. They quickly attacked at the same time. Streams of light pierced through the void and blasted the nearby mountain peaks. Whoosh! Lin Xian used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps. His speed was extremely fast, and he dodged in an instant. At the same time, he took out a few formations from the black earth and quickly set them up. These formations were all created by the Crimson Dragon. The materials used were the treasures that Lin Xian had obtained over the past few days. The other almighties had also borrowed the materials inside. They were very powerful. Even if an almighty was trapped, it would probably take some effort. At this moment, Lin Xian set up 2 formations and immediately separated the 5 of them. Among them, a red-clothed almighty and a young woman were trapped together, while the other almighty was trapped alone. The remaining middle-aged man and a young man were still in the air. However, their expressions immediately became extremely ugly. Damn it! How could the other party have such a powerful formation? They realized that the 2 almighties were unable to rush out for a while, which shocked them. In the next moment, they felt Lin Xian's terrifying gaze and trembled. They were no match for Lin Xian at all. The reason why they dared to attack was because the five of them together formed a terrifying chain attack. But now, the two of them were not enough. After all, they knew that Lin Xian had already killed many almighties and geniuses. You want to kill me? Snatch the treasures? With just you? Lin Xian sneered and attacked decisively. Brother Lin, this is a misunderstanding. Listen to me, the middle-aged man hurriedly explained. However, it was useless. Lin Xian did not give them any chance. He had already made up his mind to kill anyone who dared to come and kill him. He would not let anyone go. Boom. Lin Xian attacked decisively. The chaotic sword Qi slashed out and instantly sent the middle-aged man flying. As for the young king, he was also split apart by the sword. It was too terrifying. Under Lin Xian's terrifying killing intent, the chaotic heaven destroyer sword finally displayed the strength of a heaven-grade cultivation technique. Chapter 2155. In just one exchange, a young genius was killed. The middle-aged man spat out a mouthful of blood as cracks appeared on his armor. Then it shattered into pieces and exploded. Instantly, the middle-aged man gasped. The armor had saved his life previously, but now he was afraid that he would not be able to block the second attack. Damn it! Go to hell! The middle-aged man roared. He knew that it was impossible for him to escape. He could only fight with his life on the line to have a chance of survival. He knew that no matter how powerful the array was, it would not be able to trap the two mighty figures for too long. He only needed to wait for the two mighty figures to come out, and he would be safe. So in the next moment, he pulled out a red spear and rushed over. Boom, boom. As the spear pierced out, the entire void was pierced through. A terrifying energy storm swept out towards Lin Xian. Slash! Lin Xian swung his sword. Chaotic sword Qi fell and shattered all 300 rays of light. At the same time, he threw out a punch. The terrifying fist turned into a black dragon and rushed out. The black dragon was formed by hellfire. It carried a terrifying flame aura and instantly swallowed the middle-aged man. Ah! The middle-aged man roared crazily. His body began to burn with black flames. He wanted to extinguish the flames like crazy, but he could not do so. Whoosh! 3 seconds later, he was burned to ashes. The entire process seemed slow, but it only took 5 seconds. The two mighty figures who were attacking the array saw this scene and felt a chill in their hearts. Buzz! Lin Xian waved his hand, and the array around one of the trapped mighty figures disappeared. However, the array was controlled by him and placed on another mighty figure and a young woman. Damn it! The two of them saw this scene, and their faces darkened. The reason for that was because they'd already caused cracks to appear in the surrounding spirit formations. Yet now, another spirit formation had been added. This made it extremely difficult for them to escape. Next, it's you? Lin Xian smirked as he looked at the elite mighty figure that he had just released. Courting death. Kid, you're too arrogant. Seeing that the other party was going to attack him, the elite mighty figure was furious. Boom. In the next moment, the Almighty opened his mouth and spat out a blue giant hammer. It was surrounded by terrifying lightning. Then the hammer descended. The heavens fell, and the earth cracked. The terrifying power of thunder and lightning instantly smashed towards Lin Xian. Boom! Lin Xian slashed out with his sword, and a 1,000-meter-long sword Qi transformed into an ancient phantom. Its huge body slammed into the blue hammer with a heaven-shaking boom. Boom! In the end, the blue hammer's terrifying sword Qi phantom directly unfolded. Terrifying sword waves spread out in all directions like ocean waves. The surrounding dozens of mountains were flattened in an instant. Damn it! Why is his sword chi so powerful? That elite expert's expression changed. Although he knew that the other party was very strong, he found that the other party's strength was a little surprising after the real fight. Wang, thinking of this, he snorted coldly and summoned his king's domain, which circled around him. At the same time, he pulled out a treasured sword, Vermilion Bird Sword of the North Pole. He slashed out with his sword, and a monstrous sword light transformed into a gigantic vermilion bird, which rapidly swooped down. You want to compete with me in swordsmanship? You're really courting death. Demon-slaying sword array, break for me. The blood-red sword array quickly surged out, and then the ancient phantom appeared in the sky, fighting with the vermilion bird. In less than 3 moves, the vermilion bird was torn apart, turning into countless flames that scattered in all directions. The surrounding forest was set ablaze. As for the ancient silhouette, it let out a roar and charged over. Damn it! Vermilion Bird 3 techniques that elite expert's pupils constricted, and he once again unleashed his terrifying sword technique using 3 ultimate moves. Fire God Roar! Lin Xian didn't want to tangle with him at all, and he directly launched a powerful attack. Hellfire spread, and the fire god's sword slashed down wildly. With one slash, the world was killed. The elder was wrapped in hellfire, and his body was cut in half by the sword. Next, it's your turn. Lin Xian's body was full of killing intent, and he was like a god of death. He turned his gaze and looked at the last 2 people. With a wave of his hand, he retrieved the 2 arrays. One of them had been destroyed, but the second array could still be used. He recalled it to the Black Earth and let the Crimson Dragon repair it with materials so that it could be used again in the future. After the 2 kings lost the array, they turned and fled. Although one of them was an elite expert, and the other was a young genius, they didn't dare to face Lin Xian at all. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The 2 of them fled crazily, especially the young woman, who spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood essence. A bloody mist enveloped her body, and then she turned into a blood-red bolt of lightning, instantly streaking across the void. The elder also roared, and 2 wind wings appeared on his back. With a flap of his wings, he turned into a tornado and fled quickly. Facing Lin Xian, the 2 of them didn't dare to fight. Instead, they turned and fled. You want to leave? Lin Xian used the demigods and semidevils and quickly chased after them. At the same time, his long sword slashed through the air. 5 bolts of lightning struck. Boom, boom, boom. Countless bolts of lightning struck the void and chased after the 2 in front. The 2 of them felt their scalps go numb. They raised their hands and attacked one after another to block the power of lightning. However, they didn't dare to take it head-on. The 5 bolts of lightning still affected them to a certain extent. At this moment, Lin Xian raised his hand again and struck out with his palm. 10,000 miles ice seal. The icy aura quickly spread, and the surrounding space quickly froze, forming a world of ice and frost. The 2 warriors in front were also affected by the icy aura. Their speed slowed down, and frost even formed on their bodies as if they were about to freeze. Damn it, their expressions changed. The icy aura on their bodies became thicker and thicker, making it impossible for them to escape. Boom. However, at this critical moment, 3 violent energy fluctuations suddenly came from afar. Then, 3 rainbows quickly rushed over. Great, the reinforcements are here. Seeing this scene, the 2 of them exclaimed in surprise. They were too happy. They didn't expect that reinforcements would come at the moment of certain death. To them, this was simply the best news, as far as they were concerned. Therefore, in the next moment, the 2 of them turned to look at Lin Xian with a ferocious expression. Brat, so what if you're strong? Do you think you can fight against the 5 of us? We already know that you have an array. As long as you dodge carefully this time, you won't be trapped by the array. Buzz. However, Lin Xian didn't say anything. Instead, golden runes flashed in his eyes. Floating light, Lin Xian immediately activated his heavenly secret god eyes. Anyway, the two of them wouldn't reveal his secret. Buzz. Indeed, in the next moment, the two of them were hit by the soul attack, and their eyes became dull. The spiritual aura on their bodies also weakened in an instant. Obviously, the two of them were hit by the soul attack and couldn't fight back. They didn't even have the ability to protect themselves. Time to get up and vote. Recommend monthly vote, subscribe, bookmark, tip. Give them all to me. Chapter 2156. Frost Spike. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm and used the power of frost. Immediately, the blood in their bodies froze and turned into sharp arrows that shot out quickly. Bang, bang, bang. Their bodies were pierced, and their internal organs were completely shattered. They fell from the sky. What? They were killed. Seeing this scene, the three people who were watching from afar were also stunned. They stopped abruptly, their faces filled with terror. What was going on? In just 2 seconds, the other party was killed? What kind of technique was that? That was an elite almighty and a young heaven's chosen. Run! The three people in the distance did not dare to continue fighting and turned to flee. Boom! They came quickly and fled even faster. Lin Xian did not chase after them. This time, the golden runes in his eyes shone brighter and brighter. They could pierce through the void. Then, ice spread on his right hand and formed an ice longbow. He pulled the bowstring with his left hand, and an ice arrow quickly appeared. In the next moment, the corners of his mouth curled into a sneer. That was because he had already locked onto a target through the heavenly secret divine eyes. The power of the great dragon sword soul was injected into the ice sword, and it was extremely sharp. Whoosh! In the next moment, the ice arrow flew out from Lin Xian's hand and tore through the void like a silver lightning bolt. The three people in front of him fled quickly. However, at that moment, the body of a young man was suddenly pierced through by an ice arrow. Then, the power of frost and the sword chi of the great dragon sword soul quickly spread and blasted him into a bloody mist. He turned into countless ice cubes and scattered on the ground. What? He was killed. The two martial artists next to him were about to go crazy when they saw this scene. How far was the distance between them? How could the other party have been killed? How did that kid do it? In the next moment, they turned their heads and found that the other party was not chasing after them. That made them even more shocked. Damn it. It was the Bao. An old man's face was extremely ugly. What? The Bao. How could he have such a terrifying penetrative power? God knows how he did it, but they had to quickly put up their strongest defense. The two of them did not dare to be careless and quickly put up their defenses. However, as soon as they put up their defenses, another ice arrow flew quickly toward them. Clang! The old man was sent flying. Fortunately, he was already wearing a suit of armor. However, the huge force still sent him flying. The void shattered, and the mountains collapsed. Countless pieces of ice formed on his body, and even the armor on his body began to crack. This arrow contained the power of the great dragon sword soul, and was extremely sharp. Puff! The old man spat out large mouthfuls of blood. He was seriously injured. The armor on his body was also about to be scrapped because it was covered with cracks. Whong! At this moment, the second arrow came, which made his scalp tingle. Pung! The old man wanted to escape, but this arrow was extremely accurate. It hit the exact same spot as the previous arrow. Therefore, The armor that was already cracked shattered with a loud bang. His body was pierced through by a sword and nailed to the ground. Before the blood could flow out, it was frozen. The remaining mighty being swallowed his saliva. This method was heaven-defying. This was too terrifying, and he didn't dare to continue fighting. He immediately unleashed 3 layers of defense and unleashed his king's domain, as well as a large bell. With 5 layers of defense on his body, he quickly escaped. Moreover, his speed had reached its fastest speed. He even burned the spiritual power in his body to escape. Along the way, he also encountered other king realm mighty beings. Those people were puzzled when they saw this scene. What was going on? Was someone chasing after him? Or had he encountered a terrifying demon king? Boom. In the next moment, the king realm mighty beings along the way were stunned because they saw a blue arrow flying over from the distant horizon. It directly collided with the mighty being's body and exploded. Pung! The mighty being was sent flying and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. 2 layers of defense on his body were instantly broken. Damn it! He took out a handful of pills and swallowed them. Then he absorbed the spiritual power around him and escaped at an even faster speed. Seeing the scene, the surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. Just who was this person? Wasn't that too terrifying? They looked around and even used their soul power, but they did not find anyone. However, where did that arrow come from? From an extremely far place? But how did he do that? They did not dare to imagine. That was because they had to hide their auras. Ordinary mighty beings would not be able to detect them. However, the other party had accurately hit them. Boom, boom, boom. However, just as they were feeling puzzled, countless streams of light appeared in the distance. Then they turned into ice arrows and quickly pierced toward them. What? Those people's faces immediately turned green. Damn. Why are we being attacked too? In the next moment, those people started to defend themselves. However, a few of them who were too slow were directly pierced by the arrows and nailed to the ground. Seeing that scene, everyone went crazy. They ran for their lives, cursing at the same time. F***CK. Who dares to attack us? Damn it, we didn't do anything. Why are they attacking us? Those people were really crazy. The mighty being who was running in front shouted in a low voice, "Hurry up and run. The one who attacked us is Lin Xian." What? Are you talking about that Lin Xian who obtained the rare treasure? These people were extremely shocked and sucked in a breath of cold air. At the same time, they also knew why the other party attacked them. That was because they were also chasing after the other party. They did not expect that they would be hunted down by the other party before they could even see his face. Boom, boom, boom. The ice arrows that filled the sky were even more terrifying. In the end, there were not only ice arrows, but also flame arrows, lightning arrows, and wind arrows. All kinds of terrifying arrow rain swept over like a wave. There were so many of them that they had nowhere to go. They were like stray dogs that had lost their homes as they quickly fled. During that period, those who were weaker were directly pierced by countless arrows. There was no way for them to survive. The mighty beings roared crazily. Damn it! How is that possible? How can he be so powerful? I don't believe it. We're already 50,000 miles away. How can he lock onto us? His soul power can't be that powerful. Damn brat, don't let us catch you, or we'll tear you into pieces. Could it be because of that rare treasure? When someone asked that question, the others came to a realization. Yes, it must be the rare treasure. Although they did not know what the rare treasure was, it was definitely the effect of the rare treasure. Otherwise, how could a 6-star king be so powerful? Let's go back and inform the prince to send more people. We'll join forces to kill him. Those people had all gone crazy. They were full of desire for the rare treasure. That was because if a 6-star king could become so powerful, they would be heaven-defying if they could obtain it. Chapter 2157. At that time, he might even be able to kill a peerless Almighty. Thinking of this, they sped up and ran away crazily. And this news swept across like a gust of wind. In an instant, all the princes and Almighties knew about it. They were silent because, from the description, Lin Xian was too heaven-defying. Even ordinary elite Almighties were no match for him. Only special elite Almighties or pinnacle Almighties could stand a chance against them. The 8th prince also received the news. When they knew that Lin Xian was not in danger for the time being, they heaved a sigh of relief. However, when they heard about Lin Xian's heaven-defying battle record, their scalps went numb. It was too terrifying. On the other side, the Golden Lion King let out a furious roar, shattering mountains and rivers as it charged towards Lin Xian. As for the 3rd prince and the 1st prince, they gathered all their forces and prepared to attack. Dark Night King, it's up to you. The 3rd prince looked at an old man in a black robe and said in a deep voice, "Don't worry, 3rd prince, I'll bring that kid's head to you." The old man in a black robe merged into the void and disappeared. On the other side, the 1st prince looked at the young man and woman in front of him and said in a deep voice, "The 2 of you, make your move. Remember, you must bring back the heavenly treasure." It's been a long time since I met such an interesting young man. I heard that he also has ice and fire attributes, but I don't know how he compares to us 2 siblings. The young man and woman sneered. Although they looked like they were in their 20s or 30s, their real age was more than 1,000 years old. They were not young geniuses, but 2 elite Almighties. Moreover, they were the most terrifying elite Almighties because they had the power of bloodline. After receiving the order, the 2 of them moved and left quickly. On the other side, Lin Xian chased away a group of pursuers. Then he found a mountain range and set up a few formations. He was ready to go into seclusion. This was because he was going to use the dark crocodile's demonic blood to temper his body. At the same time, he was going to use some of the pills he got from the Dark Canyon. In short, he wanted to improve himself in all aspects. He knew that the upcoming battle would be even more intense and terrifying. Taking out a red pill, Lin Xian swallowed it in one gulp and began to refine it. At the same time, he directly entered the Black Earth. Inside, there was a crimson array set up by the Crimson Dragon specifically for Lin Xian to refine demon blood. Lin Xian sat down cross-legged and took out some demon blood to refine his body. Needless to say, as an ancient demonic beast, the dark crocodile's blood contained a terrifying amount of energy. After Lin Xian used it, the muscles on his body instantly turned red, as if they were being burned by endless flames. He knew that this was the power of that powerful bloodline. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. One could imagine how terrifying the dark crocodile was. Fortunately, he had only encountered a young crocodile. If he had encountered an adult crocodile, perhaps even a peerless powerhouse would not have been able to defeat it. In fact, it was still unknown whether an invincible king could be subdued. Everything was progressing quickly. 2 days later, the peace was broken. An earth-shattering sound came from outside, accompanied by a terrifying energy vibration. In the Black Earth, Lin Xian opened his eyes and asked, "Black Earth, what's going on?" "Someone is here. Kid, do you want to make a move?" Just then, Lin Xian stood up. He had just consumed some pills and refined some demon blood. It was a good time to test its power. With that, Lin Xian took a step forward and left the Black Earth. Outside, more than 10 mountains were still cracked, and the ground was even more cracked. It seemed that they had suffered a fierce attack. Su Chan raised his head and looked into the distance. there stood an old man. The old man's face was pale, but his eyes were extremely sharp. On his black robe, there were star-like spots of light. "You're Lin Xian?" The old man looked ahead and asked coldly, "That's right, I am. Who are you? Tell me your name. I won't kill nameless people." "Kid, you're really arrogant." The old man snorted coldly. "Listen carefully, I'm the Dark Knight King. I'm the top expert that the third prince invited. The treasure originally belonged to the third prince. Now, hand it over obediently." The third prince again. Lin Xian frowned. "Why, he doesn't dare to come himself, so he sent his underlings? But he really doesn't learn his lesson. Only you? Is he sending you to your death? I advise you to hurry up and go back. Call a few more people. Otherwise, you're no match for me alone." "Kid, you're really arrogant." Hearing that, the Dark Knight King's face darkened, and a sharp light appeared in his eyes. "You'll pay for your ignorance soon." The Dark Knight King snorted coldly, then rushed up from his body. A black light screen instantly covered 1,000 miles. Boom, boom, boom. The sky darkened in an instant. Originally, it was still daytime, but now it was incomparably dark. One couldn't even see their own fingers. The Dark Knight King's figure also disappeared. Only a voice could be heard. "Humph, you've entered my Dark Knight realm. Prepare to die." "Dark Knight realm?" Lin Xian frowned. What a strange king's realm. No wonder the old man dared to come alone. The Dark Knight King's realm was very special. This was also the reason why the third prince had sent him. Once this realm appeared, the sky darkened, and nothing could be seen. Even the soul power of a king was affected, and it was difficult to see clearly. In such a realm, one could only passively take a beating. Those with stronger defense would be fine, but those with weaker defense would not even know how they died. It could be said that the Dark Knight King was extremely terrifying. His soul was also suppressed. Lin Xian tested it and found that it was indeed similar to the Dark Canyon. His soul power was also suppressed. He couldn't probe too much. In that case, it would be difficult to find his opponent. Interesting. Lin Xian's lips curled up. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. "Kid, don't try to be brave. In my Dark Knight realm, you can't use much strength. Don't even think about finding my traces. Now, feel the pain of death." Whoosh! A sinister voice sounded. At the same time, a terrifying black sword light pierced towards Lin Xian's feet. It was as if it was going to cut him in half. Whoosh! Lin Xian's figure flashed, and he quickly dodged. That sword light slashed towards the void, and then disappeared. He dodged it? Seeing that his attack missed, the Dark Knight King was surprised. This shouldn't be. How could his opponent dodge so many attacks? "Kid, I have to say that you're very lucky to be able to dodge my attack. But you won't be so lucky next time." Around Lin Xian, darkness surged, forming 18 black giant axes, and mercilessly chopped down. Continue to ask for recommendation votes. Bookmark, monthly vote, subscribe, tip. Chapter 2158. Boom, boom, boom. However, this time he missed again. Lin Xian's figure disappeared in an instant and reappeared in another direction. What? He dodged again. How could this be? The King of Darkness hid in the darkness and frowned when he saw this scene. How could his opponent be so lucky? Damn it, no wonder you can be so arrogant. I didn't expect you to be so lucky. However, this time I'll make a move personally. Let's see if you can still dodge it. Whoosh! The King of Darkness charged forward silently. He was like a ghost without a trace of aura and without a trace of sound. In his Dark Knight domain, He was the king of darkness who ruled over everything. Nothing could go against him. Therefore, in an instant, he appeared behind Lin Xian. He stretched out his hand, and countless black auras appeared. They were like ghost claws that silently grabbed at Lin Xian's back. If he was caught, he would probably die immediately. Buzz. However, his palm stopped when it was less than 5 centimeters away from Lin Xian. He could no longer move forward. How could this be? The king of darkness finally couldn't help but scream. His face was full of fear and disbelief, because he found that a hand had grabbed his palm, making it impossible for him to move forward. What? How could this be? The elder was stunned. How could the other party grab his palm? That meant that the other party had captured his tracks, but this shouldn't be the case. This was his king domain, and he was the king here. No one could capture his tracks. Only a peerless almighty would be able to do this. But was the other party a supreme powerhouse? The other party was only a 6-star king. How did he do it? Just as the Night Lord was lost in his thoughts, Lin Xian turned his head around. Boom. At the next moment, the king of darkness was shocked. His pupils constricted, as if he had seen a ghost, because at this moment, there were golden Taoist patterns on Lin Xian's eyes. They looked very mysterious. What kind of eyes were those? The king of darkness was stunned. He had never seen such golden eyes before. It was too terrifying. The power it carried made his heart tremble. It was as if it could pierce through him with a glance. However, he was clearly hiding within his own king's domain. Your darkness domain is useless against me, Lin Xian sneered. Then he exerted force in his palm. Crack! Ah! In the next moment, the king of darkness cried out in pain because his hand had been broken. Following this, countless traces of black aura flowed out of his body, and the darkness domain around him quickly moved forwards. Lin Xian sneered and let go of his hand. His figure appeared in another direction and dodged the attack. The king of the dark night also took this opportunity to retreat. His face was pale and cold sweat trickled down his forehead. The dark night domain around him provided him with energy, allowing his broken arm to recover. However, he was extremely shocked in his heart. He had miscalculated. He had definitely miscalculated. His opponent had a pair of golden eyes that could see through his king's domain and clearly track his movements. This was something he had never imagined. His advantage was gone. Thinking of this, his face turned gloomy. However, as a terrifying elite almighty, he did not only have the advantage of hiding his tracks. Therefore, the king of darkness did not escape. Instead, he chose to continue fighting. Kid, I admit that I have underestimated you. You are very powerful, but do you think that you can be arrogant just because of that? The king of darkness snorted. My king's domain is not only useful for hiding my tracks. Whoosh. In the next moment, an extremely terrifying aura radiated from his body, and the king's domain around him trembled. Whoosh. The king of the underworld's body instantly disappeared. His speed was so fast that it was dazzling. Whoosh. In an instant, he was in front of Lin Xian. The long sword in his hand quickly stabbed out. Boom. Lin Xian also raised a sword and slashed out. The two swords collided violently. However, the king of darkness did not take it head-on. He swayed and disappeared again. When he reappeared, he was on the other side of Lin Xian. Kid, speed is also my advantage. You can't keep up with my speed at all. The corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. Moreover, his speed was getting faster and faster. You want to compete with me in speed? Lin Xian sneered. He did not use the demigods and semi-devils. Instead, a terrifying icy aura surged from his body. Boom. A wave of icy power spread out in all directions, covering a radius of 100 miles. Ice domain. You're an ice-type martial artist. The king of darkness was shocked. He quickly retreated because his body was covered in frost. He had no choice. The icy aura froze his power and slowed his speed. You can actually restrain my speed. The King of Darkness's face darkened. He did not expect his opponent to be an Ice King. The icy aura had greatly interfered with his speed. However, you're dead meat if you want to compete with me in terms of King's domain. The King of Darkness sneered again. He was an elite almighty. He was very powerful. His King's domain could easily shatter his opponent's domain. Thinking of this, he activated his Dark Knight domain and blasted it towards Lin Xian's blue world of frost. Boom, boom. The collision of the two's domains was extremely terrifying. Cracks appeared in the surrounding void, one after another. Who told you that my domain is an ice domain? Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. Suddenly, a sharp light bloomed in his eyes. Immediately, the dragon sword spirit domain appeared and turned into a shocking sword light, slashing forward. At the same time, a monstrous, murderous aura spread out. He wasn't an ice-type martial artist. He had other domains. Seeing this scene, the King of Darkness was shocked. He was wrong. He was really wrong. He did not expect the young man in front of him to be so terrifying. With his strength, it could be said that he could easily kill an elite almighty, because no one could resist his Dark Knight domain. But now, not only did this kid have a pair of golden eyes that could see through his tracks, but he also used ice to suppress his speed. Now, he had an extremely terrifying aura that he could not resist at all. Door of Darkness. At the critical moment, the King of Darkness roared. His Dark Knight domain began to tremble, forming two pitch-black doors in front of him. Boom. In the next moment, the dragon sword domain blasted on top of the King of Darkness, creating a shocking collision. Crack. However, the Door of Darkness only lasted for a short while before it shattered. What? He was actually so powerful. The King of Darkness's scalp went numb. He did not expect that the other party could even destroy his Door of Darkness. Damn it, I don't believe it. The King of Darkness roared ferociously. The black aura on his body became thicker and covered his body. At this moment, the King of Darkness was like an unparalleled demon king. Soul of Darkness, the Dark Knight, King roared, and a vertical black demonic pattern appeared on his forehead. The moment the demonic mark appeared, it emitted a terrifying aura. It was like an eye that was extremely mysterious. The sky collapsed and shattered. It could not withstand it at all. Even Lin Xian felt a chill down his spine. The King of Darkness was indeed powerful. Chapter 2159. But in the next moment, he sneered and used his heavenly secret god eyes. Mysterious runes appeared in his eyes. They turned into mysterious runes. Buzz. A dark light shot out from the demonic runes on the King of Darkness's face and slashed forward. Soul ignition. Lin Xian's eyes were extremely cold. Countless mysterious runes started to spin in his right eye. Then, a ball of golden flames floated out from his eyes. Whoosh. Soon, the golden flame clashed with the black light and burned it to ashes. Not only that, the golden flame did not weaken and instantly engulfed the King of Darkness. Ah, 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 ah. The King of Darkness screamed in agony. His entire body was twisted, and he struggled in the air. But after a few seconds, he stopped struggling. His eyes were empty as he fell to the ground. The Dark Knight domain around him also disappeared in an instant. Boom. His body landed on the ground and created a deep pit. Cracks spread around him. Lin Xian slowly descended and came to the King of Darkness's side. He checked his opponent again and heaved a sigh of relief. The King of Darkness's soul power had been completely destroyed. There was no chance of him surviving. What a terrifying attack. Even Lin Xian was shocked. He could feel that the King of Darkness was an elite almighty, and he was extremely powerful. But even so, he could not stop the golden flame from burning. What was even more strange was that the King of Darkness was not injured at all. Only his soul was burned. What a terrifying heavenly secret God eyes. He was shocked. Such a soul attack was impossible to defend against. This was a move that came with the heavenly secret God eyes. Lin Xian realized that as his strength increased, the heavenly secret God eyes would automatically display various powerful moves. This mysterious eye shocked Lin Xian. Even He Tu and the Crimson Dragon could not understand it. However, although this move was powerful, it consumed more than half of Lin Xian's soul power. It could be said that with Lin Xian's current strength, he could only use it 2 or 3 times. But 2 or 3 times was enough. After all, this was a terrifying killing move. Lin Xian used it as a trump card. He waved his hand and took the King of Darkness's storage ring. Then he turned around and left. His soul power had been greatly consumed. He needed to rest and recover to his peak in order to fight the next battle. But luckily, Lin Xian had many treasures. So he prepared some elixirs that were used to recover soul power. Half a day later, his soul power had recovered. Phew! Lin Xian let out a breath, and he stood. Now, as long as he was not surrounded by dozens of lords, but there were still threats. The Golden Lion King was the biggest threat to him. Other than that, it was the third prince and the first prince. There had been no movement from the first prince's side, but the third prince had tried to kill him time and time again. He had even released the news, asking the whole world to attack him. Killing intent rose in Lin Xian's heart. He decided to kill the third prince. However, before Lin Xian could make a move, 2 more figures flew towards him. They were very arrogant. They did not hide at all. They released their powerful auras and rushed over. They were 2 experts. Only experts would dare to be so powerful and confident. Young man, are you Lin Xian? At that moment, a flirtatious voice was heard, and the 2 figures from afar came before Lin Xian. The one who spoke was a beautiful woman. She was in her 20s. Her clothes fluttered in the wind. Her movements were light, but there was a faint icy blue in her eyes. But her tone did not sound like a young man. Instead, she sounded like a god. On the other side, there was a handsome man in a blue robe. He looked young, but his eyes were filled with vicissitudes. Kid, I'll give you a chance. Hand over the treasure. Otherwise die. Here they come again. Lin Xian's lips curled up. He knew it. It was impossible for the King of Darkness to come alone. He looked at the 2 in front of him and asked, "Tell me your names. Which prince sent you here?" "We are the first prince's men." The first prince was destined to be the crown prince. In the future, he would be the ruler of Tai Emperor's court. It was unwise to make an enemy of such a person. How about this? Hand over the treasure obediently and come back with us. Perhaps the first prince will spare your life. It is not impossible for him to put you in an important position. The first prince's men. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. As expected, the first prince could not wait to make a move. "You want my treasure?" "Sure. Let's see if you have the ability." Lin Xian's body surged with hundreds of sword chi and circled in the air. "You dare to attack us? You must be tired of living." The Spirit Fire King snorted. "Kid, I heard that you have the power of ice and fire. Coincidentally, my sister and I also have the power of ice and fire. Let's see if you have the capital to be arrogant or not." On the other side, the beautiful woman, King Tianshuang, laughed coldly. "Ice and fire?" Lin Xian was surprised. He looked at the 2 people in front of him again. These 2 people have the power of ice and fire. What kind of special means do they have? They must be extraordinary, because ordinary ice and fire elements could not compete with him. His ice and fire came from the legendary Cerberus of Hell. "Sister, Why are you talking nonsense with him? Just kill him." Then he brought his heavenly treasure and head to see the first prince. The Spirit Fire King's expression was cold. His eyes were filled with killing intent. In the next moment, a pair of flaming wings appeared on his back. He charged toward Lin Xian with a fiery aura. In the blink of an eye, he was beside Lin Xian. He reached out a hand. This hand was powerful and covered with flames. It was like the hand of the god of fire. Humph! Lin Xian snorted and waved his fist. Hellfire rushed out and covered his fist. Boom! The two collided. Two types of flames surged in the air. The terrifying energy lit up the entire sky. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The sky was filled with flames. The red and black flames collided in the air. They were evenly matched. The Spirit Fire King frowned. He was surprised that Lin Xian's flames could compete with his. In the next moment, the flaming wings on his back vibrated. He returned to his original position. Interesting. The flames are not weak. They are strange. No wonder you are so arrogant. Kid, I wanted to kill you for the first prince. Now, it seems like you have no choice but to die. Only by devouring your flames can I improve my cultivation. The Spirit Fire King's eyes shone with a terrifying light. His cultivation technique was to devour different flames to purify his power. Now that he saw the flames on Lin Xian's body, he was naturally excited. He wanted to take them for himself. Me too. On the other side, the Frost King also stood out. Her exquisite face had a smile. I wonder what kind of ice element you have. Don't disappoint me. Chapter 2160. Although she was beautiful, she was an old monster who had lived for thousands of years. Her attack was extremely powerful. With a wave of her hand, a terrifying ice appeared. Countless ice flashed under her feet. Then, a huge ice spear rose from the ground. Like an ice dragon, it pierced towards Lin Xian. Whoosh! Lin Xian's body flashed and retreated. However, just as he moved, the surrounding ice energy enveloped him. His speed slowed down as he was enveloped by the icy aura. In the next moment, hellfire surged out from his body and blocked the ice. An ice longsword appeared in his hand. Boom! He slashed out with his sword, slicing through the sky and slicing the world of ice before him in half. What a powerful ice energy! What a pure sword of ice! Lord Tianchuang smiled satisfactorily. Not bad, not bad. Kid, I didn't expect you to have so many treasures. Since that's the case, the two of us will take them. Humph! What? You think you can take me down? Lin Xian snorted. The two of them had appeared as if they were in control of the situation. Did they really think that he could be taken advantage of? Kid, it seems like you don't understand the situation. You might be able to fight us one-on-one, but we won't give you a chance. Don't worry. We'll give it our all. We won't give you any chance to escape. Although you didn't offend us, it's your fault that you have such a treasure and such a pure ice and fire attribute energy. Since you have a treasure that doesn't belong to you, you deserve to die. After you die, we'll make good use of your energy. Lord Tianchuang smiled coldly. Buzz. Su Chen's face darkened as well. Cold, killing intent appeared in his eyes. He summoned the Dragon Sword territory and covered Lord's spiritual fire. He pulled out his demonic sword and charged towards Lord Tianchuang. How dare you attack me? Kid, you've angered me. Lord Tianchuang laughed, but the light in her eyes was extremely sharp. Boom! She lashed out with her palm, which immediately formed a blue frost palm and blasted towards Lin Xian. Pung! In the next moment, Lin Xian's figure flashed and dodged the palm. However, the surrounding icy aura enveloped him. Then countless frost formed and froze him in midair. It's useless. The entire space is within my attack range. Seeing that his opponent was frozen, Frost King smiled. I have to say, you're really too weak. You can't even take a single move from me. Boom. However, just as she finished speaking, the ice sculpture suddenly exploded into pieces. Then Lin Xian took a step forward. His body glowed brightly, and he didn't suffer any frostbite at all. Had it been broken? He hadn't been affected at all. How could this be? Seeing this, Frost King frowned. This shouldn't be the case. Even though his opponent was also an Ice King, he was very confident in his own ice energy. Even if the other party wasn't injured, they would still be affected. But now, the light on the other party's body was resplendent. It was clear that he hadn't received any damage at all. How could this brat's physique be so strong? King Tianxuang frowned. What he didn't know was that Lin Xian had just used the immemorial demonic blood to refine his body. Naturally, his physique was extremely strong. Although his opponent's ice energy was terrifying, it didn't have much effect on him. Lin Xian was delighted. His physique was obviously much stronger than before. This was the effect of the immemorial demonic blood. As expected of an immemorial demonic beast, the power of its bloodline was indeed terrifying. Lin Xian clenched his fists. His eyes glowed as he smiled. Whoosh! He used the demonic 8 parts and charged towards his opponent. Do you think you're the only one who knows how to use the power of ice? Lin Xian snorted coldly. His body emitted a terrifying ice energy that froze the surroundings. The entire space turned into a world of ice and snow. You're not qualified to use ice in front of me. Frost King snorted coldly. Countless amounts of ice surged out of his body. The two's ice energy clashed in the air. However, at this moment, Lin Xian held the demonic sword in his hand. His body emitted a terrifying killing intent. Ice Piercer. As he stabbed out, a blue sword light pierced through the void and sliced the space in half. Boom! The world of ice and snow that Frost King had created was sliced apart. What a powerful sword chi! Frost King's face turned pale as she hurriedly dodged. However, the sword light in Lin Xian's hand became brighter and brighter. Then, it turned into a curtain of swords that covered the sky. Finally, 3 of the sword chi hit Frost King. Clang! Clang! Even though it had hit the armor, Frost King was still sent flying. Frost King's face was pale. Blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. The blood in her body was chaotic. She didn't expect Lin Xian's sword technique to be so powerful that it could injure her. Boom! At this moment, there was an earth-shattering explosion behind her. Then, a sea of fire flew and blew away the dragon sword realm. Kid, do you think you can trap me with a small realm? How naive! Spiritual Fire King sneered. Flames danced on his body, as if he was the fire god. His eyes were sharp. Lin Xian's face darkened. He waved his hand, and the dragon sword realm appeared beside him, emitting countless sword chi. After Spiritual Fire King came out, he looked into the distance. However, when he saw that Frost King was injured and her face was pale, his face darkened. Killing intent surged from his body. Sister, you're injured, Spiritual Fire King exclaimed. Then he turned around and stared at Lin Xian. Damn kid, how dare you injure my sister? I'll tear you to pieces. You won't have the chance. Lin Xian snorted. Blood-red sword runes appeared under his feet. The demon-slaying sword array rushed up and covered the ground. Then, the immemorial shadow appeared. The huge black body crushed the void, as if it was going to crush Spiritual Fire King into a bloody mist. This immemorial demon soul had been refined by Lin Xian using the immemorial demon blood not long ago. Its power had increased once again. It was terrifying. It was as if a real immemorial demon beast had been revived. Its terrifying power crushed the void. Even the elites wouldn't dare to fight against it. Not good. The Spirit Fire King was startled when he saw the ancient phantom, and a trace of shock appeared on his face. He did not expect that the other party would have such a terrifying ultimate move, especially the aura of the primordial phantom, which made him shudder with fear. In the next moment, flames surged out of his body and formed a red lotus. It kept expanding in front of him. It was as heavy as a mountain. Boom, boom, boom. Then, the immemorial shadow crashed into the red lotus. Heaven and earth shook. There was a huge explosion in the void. A terrifying shockwave swept out. Initially, Frost King wanted to charge over. However, when she sensed the energy storm, she retreated as well. In front of her, Spiritual Fire King grunted. The red lotus above his head shattered, turning into countless flames. Chapter 2161. His entire body kept retreating, creating a black hole in the void. Damn it! How is this kid so strong? Spirit Fire King steadied himself with an ugly expression. He didn't expect that other than the power of ice and fire, his opponent would also have such a terrifying archaic shadow. It seemed that he had to be careful of his attacks. Spirit Fire King formed a hand seal, and a layer of fiery red armor covered his body. He looked forward again. What a dense fire aura! Lin Xian's eyebrows twitched as he looked ahead. He realized that the flame battle armor was no ordinary item. It should be a top-tier Earth-grade treasure. His opponent was indeed not an ordinary almighty. He actually had a top-tier treasure. Thinking of this, Lin Xian snorted coldly. The dragon sword soul in his body circulated, and the dragon sword domain trembled rapidly. Then, countless sword chi flew out like meteors in the sky, all of them blasting forward. It's useless. My armor is a top-tier Earth-grade one. You can't break my defense. Spirit Fire King sneered. Hand over the heavenly treasure obediently, or you'll die. Spirit Fire King then slapped his palms, and a monstrous sea of fire spread out, covering the entire sky. Go to hell, brat. At this moment, Frost King also charged over. The brother and sister didn't care about the rules of the world. They decided to work together to kill Lin Xian. On the other side, Frost King also unleashed a terrifying amount of ice power. It transformed into a giant ice snake in the air, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as it pounced towards Lin Xian, as if it wanted to swallow him whole. Boom, boom, boom. The battle was very intense, and the surrounding space trembled violently. This phenomenon naturally attracted many almighty kings. They had been frantically looking for Lin Xian, and now they were wandering around every corner of the secondary space. They naturally had to come and watch a battle of this level. What a terrifying aura. Who is fighting? This is the power of fire and ice. Is it the brother and sister of the first prince? Spirit Fire King and Frost King. They were both experts among the elites. The brother and sister together were terrifying. They could fight top-tier almighties. Who was fighting them? Was it the third prince's men or the eighth prince's men? The people in the distance discussed animatedly. However, they only dared to watch from 10,000 miles away. They didn't dare to come closer. This was because the area within a radius of 10,000 miles was completely covered by a monstrous sea of fire and terrifying frost. What? It's him. At this moment, a middle-aged man's eyes emitted a black light that pierced through the void. He saw the situation inside and exclaimed, "What's wrong? Old Fang, who did you see?" The person next to him asked. Lin Xian was Lin Xian's son. The middle-aged man explained the situation. It was that brat. It was really him. A pair of worn-out iron shoes searching for nothing, only to find it by chance without any effort. An old man laughed loudly, while the others were shocked. Although they had found Lin Xian's whereabouts, the current situation was not optimistic. Even an idiot could tell that Spirit Fire King and Frost King were fighting for the treasures. If the two kings succeeded in capturing him, it would be difficult for them to make a move on him. However, they didn't dare to snatch it now. After all, Spirit Fire King and Frost King could defeat them if they joined forces. Hence, they could only watch from afar. But soon, they sucked in a breath of cold air. This was because they realized that Lin Xian wasn't at a disadvantage against the two powerful kings. Instead, he was getting fiercer and fiercer. Heavens, where did this brat come from? His combat strength was too terrifying. Many kings swallowed their saliva. In the distance, Spiritual Fire Emperor and Frost Emperor's faces darkened as well. Both of them were elite almighties, and their expressions could fight against pinnacle almighties. However, they couldn't take down a brat, even with their combined forces. This gave them a surreal feeling. How could this brat be so strong? Their faces turned ugly as they attacked even more ferociously. Damn brat! Go to hell! The Spiritual Fire King roared in anger. When he opened and closed his eyes, terrifying flames overflowed. On the other side, Frost King was also terrifying. She waved her hand, and the ice domain around her froze the entire area. Lin Xian was even more valiant. His eyes were terrifying, and the sword chi on his body surged. He opened the dragon sword domain, and the terrifying sword chi turned into giant dragons that rampaged in the sky. The demonic sword in his hand became hundreds of feet long. Every time it slashed down, it would destroy a part of the world. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, Lin Xian displayed his powerful combat strength against the two elite kings. In front of him, energy rumbled as if the world was about to be destroyed. The people who were watching the battle from afar were all shocked and dumbfounded. Although they were here to capture Lin Xian, they had to admit that Lin Xian was too strong. If it were them, they wouldn't be able to withstand such a combo attack. One move would probably turn them into a bloody mist. But now, Lin Xian was still not at a disadvantage after exchanging hundreds of moves with them. How powerful and heaven-defying was that? No, the Spirit Fire King and Frost King haven't used their full strength yet. I remember that they both have bloodline power. An elder's eyes flashed as he spoke. That was indeed the case. The others nodded as well. They had naturally heard of the power of the siblings. Their bloodline power would increase their combat strength. If they used it, Lin Xian wouldn't be able to withstand it. Boom, 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 boom. Another intense collision. Lin Xian turned into a sword god, and the demonic sword in his hand slashed forward, clashing with the terrifying world of fire and ice. Then, the three of them split up and stood in three different directions. Lin Xian's eyes were solemn, and his body was filled with killing intent. On the other side, the Spirit Fire King and Frost King's faces were terrifyingly dark. They didn't expect a brat to be so troublesome. They couldn't do anything to him, even if they worked together. Some of the sword wounds on their bodies were caused by the other party. They were still in pain and couldn't heal at all. Brother, don't hold back anymore. Use your bloodline power. We have to take down this brat quickly. I feel that he's too evil. Frost King gritted his teeth and said, "All right." Hearing this, the Spirit Fire King nodded solemnly. Then the flames in his eyes shone even brighter. Brat, you should be proud that you made us use our bloodline power. Speaking of this, a flame mark appeared in between his eyebrows. Then the blood in his body rumbled as he quickly used his bloodline power. Bloodline power. Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. No wonder. This pair of siblings actually possessed the power of bloodline. It was indeed terrifying. Only he was strong enough to withstand it. If it were another elite, he would have been killed long ago. Boom. Spirit Fire Bloodline. the Spirit Fire King roared as streaks of bloody light shot out from his body and merged with the surrounding flames. Chapter 2162. Flame runes flashed around his body, each of them mysterious and emitting a terrifying power. On the other side, Frost King also used her bloodline. A blue snowflake appeared between her eyebrows, and the power of ice in her body became even more terrifying. Even the kings who were watching from afar were trembling, their faces pale. This aura was twice as strong as before. Everyone was shocked. This bloodline power was too terrifying. It could actually multiply one's attack power. It's over. That kid is dead for sure. Yeah, unless he also had bloodline power, he wouldn't be able to fight back at all. What a pity. The treasure was going to belong to the first prince. Discussions could be heard. Obviously, these people thought that Lin Xian couldn't fight against Spirit Fire King and Frost King. Go to hell, brat. Spirit Fire King roared and punched out. The terrifying fist tore through the void and smashed towards Lin Xian. Wang! Lin Xian waved his hand, and countless hellfire gathered, forming a huge flaming door in front of him. Pung! However, in the next moment, the flaming door was smashed into pieces by the punch. Lin Xian stepped forward and used the demigods and demigods to dodge the terrifying fist. It's useless. Stop struggling. You're not my match at all. Spirit Fire King's voice was cold. You have no chance of resisting after using your bloodline power. Kid, this is the difference between us. With bloodline power, we are the favorites of heaven and earth. We are invincible. Frost King also attacked mercilessly. She was like an ice queen who wanted to suppress everything in the world. In her jade-like hand, an ice spear quickly formed, and she waved it forward. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. In an instant, a cold wind blew, and the air was filled with a terrifying icy aura. In the sky, Lin Xian's sword chi was all frozen, and then fell to the ground, creating countless craters. This is the difference between us. Your attacks are completely useless against the power of our bloodline. Unless you have bloodline power, you have no right to fight against us. Spirit Fire King snorted. Lin Xian said in a deep voice, I don't have the power of a bloodline, but what I have, you don't have either. At this point, he let out an angry roar. The great dragon sword spirit in his body suddenly erupted. Then, a sharp sword wave surged from his body, connecting heaven and earth, and spread out in all directions. Lin Xian's aura also became incomparably strong in an instant. So powerful. This guy's strength had also increased. How could this be? Could it be that he had been hiding his strength before? The mighty figures in the distance were all stunned. They didn't dare to believe it. Spiritual Fire King and Frost King sensed the change in aura. Their pupils shrank as well. Stronger, the other party's aura had also become stronger. Just like them, he had become incomparably powerful, far stronger than before. But how was that possible? They had become stronger because of their bloodline power. When they unleashed their bloodline power, their battle prowess would increase exponentially. However, what right did the other party have? The other party did not possess any bloodline power. So how could his battle prowess have increased? They simply could not understand. If you can't figure it out, then go to hell and figure it out. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He swung his sword, and a terrifying flaming sword slashed down crazily. At the same time, his palm moved, and a thunderous palm slapped towards Frost King. At this moment, Lin Xian was like a god of war. He was unstoppable. Boom, 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 boom. Spiritual Fire King and Frost King fought back against the terrifying sword chi and thunderous palm. Then they roared, "Damn kid, go to hell!" The two of them were really angry. They had unleashed their bloodline power. Could it be that they couldn't do anything to the other party? They didn't believe it, so they attacked fiercely. His fist was extremely red. This was the terrifying bloodline power, together with the towering flames. It was definitely terrifying. Boom. The fist was like a sun that appeared in the sky. On the other side, Frost King also slapped out with his jade-like hand. His jade-like hand contained terrifying bloodline power. It was like the hand of the ice goddess. It was extremely terrifying. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Xian had completely exploded. He held the sword in one hand and slashed towards Spiritual Fire King. His other hand was clenched into a fist and punched towards Frost King. Boom. The sword chi slashed open the fiery fist. Lin Xian's fist pushed back the icy palm. Seeing this scene, the people in the distance were all stunned. Some of the older generation people even exclaimed, "Heavens, isn't his physique a little too strong? He dares to fight against an expert with bloodline power barehandedly without being injured. How did he do it? I've only seen such a physique on the Golden Lion King, but the Golden Lion King was a genius of the war tribe. Where did this kid come from? These people were crazy. The craziest ones were Spiritual Fire King and Frost King. Both of them had unleashed their bloodline power. They were originally full of confidence and thought that they could destroy the other party. However, the other party didn't expect that they couldn't suppress the other party. In fact, they were suppressed by the other party. This made them go crazy. Damn it! Fire Spirit, Divine Fist. Spiritual Fire King roared. His fists surged crazily. They were like meteors that smashed forward. Frost Seal, between the heaven and earth, the air was filled with icy aura. Then, a mysterious palm descended from the sky. Holding an ancient seal, it suppressed Lin Xian. Everywhere it passed, there would be a clanging sound. The space was completely frozen. Spiritual Fire King and Frost King were truly enraged. At this moment, not only did they unleash their bloodline power, but they also unleashed their powerful martial skills. Kill. Lin Xian roared as well, his killing intent sword. He held the 9 darkness demonic sword in his hand. With a swing of his sword, the fiery sword chi gathered. A black sword light swept across the heaven and earth. Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword. During this period of time, Lin Xian's Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword had improved again. It was a lot stronger than before. Therefore, when he unleashed it now, the sky changed color. Boom, boom, boom. After an intense collision, Spiritual Fire King roared. He was hit by 2 sword chis. Blood spurted out. There was even a place where his bones were exposed. He couldn't believe it. The other party's sword chi was too terrifying. Even his soul was trembling. On the other side, Frost King was also hit by a sword chi. She was sent flying and vomited blood. Her delicate face turned incomparably pale. Lin Xian quickly unleashed the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword to fight with the other two. He didn't have any other moves. He wanted to improve his sword skills in such an extreme battle. After all, the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword was a heaven-class sword skill. It was difficult to cultivate normally. Spiritual Fire King and Frost King were rare opponents. Therefore, he didn't want to let go of this opportunity. He wanted to fight to his heart's content. Boom. The battle was unusually intense. Lin Xian relied on his body that had just been tempered by the primordial bloodline. After putting on the black armor, he was extremely valiant. You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.